Great. Going live.
Okay.
What?
Let our people know because Emily would just. Stay on this slate, but is there any like pre-show content that's rolling out?
Ventus Robotics develops autonomous, self-driving software for third-party manually operated commercial equipment, ranging from wheelchairs to tractors to floor scrubbers. Our goal is to democratize self-driving software, using it to make the world more accessible to those in wheelchairs, to help increase food security and make greenhouse supply chains more robust, and to ensure the highest standards of cleanliness without risking the safety of cleaning staff. Specifically, we have developed autonomous wheelchairs, tow tugs, and floor cleaners in partnership with OEMs. For wheelchair users, we increase freedom of mobility and help to make airports and hospitals more accessible. For greenhouses, we alleviate labor shortages and help to strengthen supply chains. And for hospitals and other facilities, we increase cleanliness, all with one suite of autonomous software. In the past 3 years, we have run paid pilots with some of North America's top hospitals, greenhouses, and airports. This year, we are launching series production across all 3 verticals. Our proprietary software has been featured in international conferences, published in top journals, and awarded the MIT Lemelson Student Prize and the Harvard i3 Innovation Prize.
Hi, I am Selen Şenal. The level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere increased about 2 times because of the flue gas of factories and greenhouse gas emission in transportation. Billion tons of industrial wastewater continue to destroy our biodiversity. ArcBio treats industrial wastewater and flue gases with microalgae to produce carbon-negative biofuels and algal bioplastics. The main goal of ArcBio is to keep climate change limit below 1.5 degrees. In production, we feed algae with industrial waste in photobioreactors. After the growing, we harvest biomass and take it into our patented biofuel production reactor to produce energy. The algal waste of this process is blended with biopolymer to produce algal bioplastics. Thanks to our carbon capture technology, we capture 90% of carbon dioxide from the flue gas. We also treat nitrogen, phosphorus, and heavy metals up to 95% in industrial wastewater. Our revenue model consists of biofuel, bioplastic, and carbon credit sales on a product basis. On a service basis, we provide treatment, consultancy, and installation. Our team consists of academic award-winning engineers who have completed their PhD and master's degree in biotechnology, energy engineering, and entrepreneurship. ArcBio has at least 10 positive effects on sustainable development goals as it offers solutions to 3 different environmental problems with a single clean tech system. Our aim is 2050, net zero carbon dioxide emission. Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Quispe, and I am a co-founder of Beyond Silicon. Wahab and Zach are also co-founders and will be joining me in today's presentation. Our mission as Beyond Silicon is to bring tandem solar cells to tomorrow's modules. In the US, the installed capacity of solar energy has been expanding rapidly over the past 10 years at a 30% compound annual growth rate. With this rapid growth comes along aggressive competition for silicon-based US module manufacturers. It is common to see gross margins below 20%, and the manufacturers may even go negative just to secure their place in the market. For companies to increase their gross margins, they are interested in adopting new technologies to drive down their costs. But the issue is that they only reinvest about 1.5% of their annual revenue in R&D programs, and these programs are generally short-term and only allocated for improving their existing technologies.
And this is where we come in. We want to empower module manufacturers by selling them a more efficient type of solar cell. When we take a look at the existing products, they are dominated by silicon solar cells that are packaged together into a module. Our product, on the other hand, takes the existing silicon solar cell and adds another solar cell on top to make a tandem. This way, we can absorb more sunlight and convert it into electricity, which will increase the power output by 30%. This boost in performance reduces the solar system size while keeping the power output the same. If we look at the two houses below, they're both powered by 6 kilowatt solar systems. However, the house that uses our product has less modules, and that's a result of our product's higher output. From a module manufacturer's perspective, this reduction in system size allows them to reduce their material consumption because they simply don't need to produce as many modules. This savings in cost will increase their typical 12% gross margins to 45%. At the end of the day, our product reduces the module manufacturer's cost and increases their gross margins. But they're not the only ones benefiting. Beyond Silicon will also see an increase in gross margins compared to existing solar cell manufacturers. When we look at existing solar cells and consider their cost to manufacture versus their selling price, their profit is about 6 cents per unit. Ours, on the other hand, will be 27 cents. That represents a 4.5 times increase in gross margins.
When it comes to our addressable market, it's 1.7 gigawatts. That's the annual production capacity of residential module manufacturers in the United States. 5 years from now, that number is projected to increase to 2.5 gigawatts, and that's when we're going to sell our product to residential module manufacturers. In that year, our 250 megawatt production line will be fully operational, and that will represent 10% of the TAM that was estimated in the previous slide. When we consider our selling price of $1.07 per cell, that's going to give us an annual revenue of about $40 million. When we also consider the cost of manufacturing, that's going to give us an annual profit of about $10 million. When it comes to our competition, they are advanced silicon technologies such as IBC solar cells or TOPCon solar cells, but our tandem solar cells will be the most cost-effective because of the significant increase in power output as a result of using 2 solar cells rather than 1. We're also going to have the highest efficiency potential, the highest annual energy production. Our product will enable the smallest system footprint. Our product will also be the easiest to integrate into existing module manufacturing lines. One area that we're actively working on is increasing our product's life to be on par with existing silicon technologies. Recently, we've been awarded $200,000 by the Department of Energy. But this is just the start. In order to be successful, we need to raise $2 million by next spring so that we can quickly grow our company and enter a seed round so that 1, we can take our cells and scale them to full-size solar cells, 2, demonstrate a reliable module, and 3, enter a joint development agreement with a module manufacturer. Our highly motivated team is diverse. Our CEO, Jason Yu, is an assistant research professor at Arizona State University. He pioneered the tandem technology and has extensive industry experience with cell and module manufacturing. Zachary Hallman, another co-founder, is an associate professor at Arizona State University. He raised over $30 million in research funds, and he also spun 2 other companies out of his lab. Both of those companies have now raised over $6 million and continue to grow year after year. When it comes to Zach, David, and myself, we are material science and engineering PhD students at Arizona State University with technical expertise to scale our tandem technology. We've also enrolled in a year-long Master's Innovation and Venture Development program, which we're leveraging to grow our company to where it needs to be. We are very much excited about the future of our company, and we can't wait to empower module manufacturers with next-generation solar cells. Thank you.
During minimally invasive surgery, the camera is constantly obstructed from fog, bodily fluid, and debris. This results in surgeons having to completely remove the scope to clean it nearly every 12 minutes, which reduces efficiency while increasing surgeon frustration and patient risk. This wasted time costs U.S. hospitals nearly $1.6 billion annually. Our patented solution uses innovative origami-inspired engineering principles to make a minimalistic yet dependable wiping mechanism. Our product is a disposable attachment that snaps onto existing laparoscopes, allowing surgeons to quickly clean the lens while inside the abdomen without hindering their workflow. Surgeons love it, telling us it's about time and they've been waiting for this for the past 20 years. Surgeons need to see what they are doing to help focus on helping their patients, and we are determined to use our engineering expertise and help from industry specialists to help provide them with this much-needed solution.
Hi, my name is Clark, and I'm the founder and CEO of Canalytics. We're building software that will allow people to better visualize, analyze, and share 3D data. Think of us as a Google Drive for 3D data, an entirely new field of data that's sitting on the cusp of mass adoption. With the integration of 3D data collection sensors, known as LiDAR, on the new iPhone 12s and 13 Pros, 3D data is about to become widely democratized. Yet the digital infrastructure has not caught up with the evolution in 3D hardware. As the inaugural winner of the Defense Innovation Accelerator, Kinalytics has conducted over 250 customer discovery interviews and identified a crucial need for web-based digital infrastructure. Our team, in partnership with MIT Lincoln Laboratory, the US Air Force, the US Navy, and US Coast Guard, is developing a middleware platform that will allow users to visualize 3D data, work simultaneously on a point cloud model, apply machine learning models to conduct differential analysis, and compress massive 3D data files to share seamlessly over the internet. We are Kinalytics, and we are ushering in the revolution in 3D data.
Hi, my name is Manas Pachak, and I'm part of Team Earthen. We have a patent pending product called Energy Pod that allows us to store excess energy from solar and wind for long durations. This solves a major problem because we allow renewable energy producers and consumers to continue to use solar and wind even when sun is not shining for several few days or wind is not blowing for several few days consecutively in a week. We are highly scalable, meaning we could be deployed anywhere without any geographical or geological constraint. And we aim to provide the cheapest energy storage as a service in the market, a market that is worth $8.5 billion in just US by 2026.
In our current healthcare system, heart failure really is a large challenge. Nearly 7 million Americans have heart failure, resulting in over 1 million hospitalizations annually. Response to treatment is often really variable, and clinicians like me struggle to harness the large volumes of relevant patient data to deliver the most optimal care. Artificial intelligence can help clinicians unlock the hidden potential in a patient's medical record.
Introducing Impalo. Impalo uses AI to revolutionize our fight against heart failure. Learn more at impalo.com.
Hi, I'm Claire, and I'm in my final year of my MBA at MIT Sloan. My co-founder Ray just finished his computer science PhD at MIT. We have a remarkable scientific advisory board and are getting strong traction. Our technology has appeared in 2 publications and been featured in MIT News. We've also formalized relationships with BIDMC, Mayo Clinic, MGH, the University of Colorado Hospital, and the VA. Beyond these partnerships, we have warm leads at 14 hospitals and 4 medical insurers who have expressed interest to pilot our technology. As we prepare to launch pilots, ASU's Human Health Prize would make all the difference for Impalo and our mission to save lives. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we're coming to you live from the Flux Hybrids International headquarters. This parking lot. As you can see here, we have the only 3 components you need to convert your car into a hybrid. In this prototype that we did for NC State's fleet department, we were able to cut fuel consumption in half, carbon emissions by 40%, and maintenance costs by 25%.
So why are we doing all this? Climate change is shaping up to be the greatest challenge our generation will have to face. Carbon emissions are out of control, with the transportation sector currently as the worst. It accounts for nearly 1/3 of all of our country's annual emissions.
With our technology, a business can electrify their fleet with very little capital. Our goal is to convert just 1% of the over 8 million fleet vehicles in the US. In doing so, we'll reduce annual carbon emissions by 382,000 tons.
And I know that's a big number. So how do you know we can do it? Well, we've already received $60,000 in non-dilutive grants, and we're a Techstars company. But even with all that support, when the pandemic hit, we lost our shop space. So we decided to keep working in a parking lot. We built our entire first prototype on our backs and knees, working through 100-degree heat in the summer and freezing rain in the winter, all while living off student loans. So just imagine what we can do with your support.
Hi, my name is Christina Gregorian.
And my name is Camila Mancini.
And we are the 2 biomedical engineers behind 4Mom Care.
The US maternal death rate is at an all-time high. More moms die postpartum than during pregnancy and birth combined. Shockingly, 66% of these cases are preventable simply with early access to medical intervention.
And this is where we come in. 4Mom is a next-generation digital health platform that gives patients access to digestible postpartum education and medical help on demand. Our digital health nurse automatically answers patient questions and connects high-risk patients to a range of medical specialists.
So far, we've raised $10,000 and are working closely with a physician group of 25 OBGYNs as our design partner. We both hold a strong technical engineering background, and with our advisor, Jessie Becker-Alexander, who sold her maternal health company for $240 million, we know we're the right team to get 4Mom into the hands of women everywhere. Thank you.
I am Jules, and I'm the co-founder of GenCores. Today, passenger cars and trucks are responsible for 22% of greenhouse gas emissions. The root cause of these emissions is that cars are too heavy because lightweight composites, widely used in aerospace to reduce the weight of aircraft, are too expensive for the automotive industry. Our technology combines robotics and material science. It enables cutting 80% of the cost and lead times for structural composites, while enabling building unique structures that outperform current composite solutions. Unlocking adoption of high-performance composites in cars and trucks, GenCores enable drastic weight saving and increasing the efficiency of vehicles by 45%. We have received strong industry traction from industry leaders and are today piloting with the US Air Force and the Formula One team. Our team is composed of MBAs, PhDs, and expert advisors. ASU.io will help us cover the cost of our pilot programs and give us runway for our seed in 2022. We're GenCores, and we democratize the use of structural composites for the automotive industry.
The rise in e-commerce, as consumers began to order everything online, has resulted in a significant increase for demand in corrugated cardboard. Corrugated cardboard box manufacturers are facing a severe shortage of craft paper that caused their prices to increase by 60 to 70% in the last year. Now, we discovered that we can extract cellulose from the olive pulp waste, which has a structure similar to wood. Now, this olive pulp waste produced in huge quantities in the Mediterranean region, and it's usually burned or left to rot, and it's very polluting as it reduces crop yield. Now, we developed a method to extract 35% cellulose from this olive pulp waste, and we combine it with recycled packaging, transforming this food waste into a value-added product. And we worked in our university labs and created our first prototype. I am Walid Titi, and these are my founding members, Lara Khatib and Mithaloon Sabah.
Women aren't aware of what's in their feminine hygiene products, but it's not their fault. Since feminine hygiene products don't have an ingredients list like candy bars do, big companies hide dozens of toxins in your body. Traditional products also create tons of plastic waste. Last year, 5.8 billion tampons were sold in the US alone. When considering the plastic applicator and packaging, that's equivalent to more than the entire Titanic in waste. We are Hempress Hygienics, and we're revolutionizing the feminine hygiene industry. By producing the first 100% hemp tampon, our products will be biodegradable, plastic-free, and contain zero chemicals. We are committed to making a product that brings comfort and convenience to women every month, period. The time is now, given that environmental, hemp, and feminist awareness are at an all-time high. At Hempress Hygienics, we believe women should know what they're putting in their bodies and be able to take care of the planet at the same time. Please help us with our journey. We can't do this without you. We are preparing to launch early 2021, but need your help. We will be using your investment to scale up our production into commercial manufacturers and fully launch our products. Join us in revolutionizing the feminine hygiene industry while supporting our mission of helping women and the environment.
The most common neurosurgery fails 20% of the time. Hubley Surgical has developed the iPhone of medical drilling to fix that. We are 2 neurosurgeons with MBAs, 2 lifelong medical device engineers and a software engineer, with a combined 50 years of experience in building early-stage startups. The most common neurosurgery is the skull puncture. It's performed 200,000 times a year in the US, and 20% of these result in stroke, hemorrhage, brain infection, and death. Now that actually makes sense when you learn that no matter where you go, Even the best of the best neurosurgeons are using this hand-crank drill to perform skull punctures at the bedside. Hubley is designed for both emergency and elective surgeries. Just like the current solution, it comes in a kit with other needed components. We have multiple patent applications filed for which Hubley owns 100% of the IP. But most importantly, the Hubley safety features will save thousands of lives every year. And here's how. Surgeons can accidentally drill past the skull and plunge into brain tissue. Hubley's plunge prevention guarantees the drill bit automatically retracts. Surgeons poke 3 holes into the brain to get the right catheter placement. Based on 5 NIH studies proving the Gajar catheter guide technique, Hubley could reduce that average to just 1 hole. We're selling directly to hospitals, starting with our partners. First, we'll sell the drill designed specifically for skull punctures and emergencies, then a reusable version for elective neurosurgeries, and then a version for orthopedics. So our total addressable market for the US is $8.4 billion. All in all, Hubley has the team, the IP, and the product validation. We have grants from the National Science Foundation and the Chilean government. We've already raised $350,000 to achieve FDA clearance, and we're looking for more. So if you're like us and you don't want this hand-crank drill going into your brain, come talk to us.
Hi, I'm Kelly.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Adrian.
We are Impact Food. Our food system has used up 90% of the world's fish stocks, causing great biodiversity loss and harming ocean ecosystems that support all life on our planet. We're told fish is a healthy source of protein, but studies find that wild-caught fish often contain heavy metals, while farm-raised fish often carry antibiotics and zoonotic disease.
We harness the power of plants and scientific innovation to create delicious plant-based seafood that provides nutrition without extinction. With less than 3% of bluefin tuna left in the world, we created our first product, Impact Tuna, plant-based raw tuna with various applications, such as sushi and poke.
Over the past year, we studied the building blocks of tuna and selected plant-based ingredients to replicate the umami taste, nutrient-rich protein, and melting-in-mouth sensation of fleshy tuna meat. Through our plant-based seafood platform, we can impact the entire ocean ecosystem.
I'm Nandita, and I'm the co-founder and COO of Inferno Guard, and we are reimagining remote wildfire detection. This summer has shown us that the biggest problem with wildfires is that massive fires, such as the bootleg fire, can burn for over 7 days before being detected. We've spoken with over 50 large-scale landowners, and 100% of them have reported word-of-mouth or direct sight as their primary method of notification. And that's why we've created Inferno Guard. We deploy utility-patented hardware devices the size of your phone directly on trees in remote environments to monitor wildfire threats. Our sensors use a data analysis method backed by the USDA to detect fires and report back to our users via text message. We initially engage our customers with our data-driven wildfire risk assessment, which determines high-risk areas unique to a landowner's property. Think heat maps, but for wildfire risk. From there, devices are purchased for deployment in these areas, and a monthly monitoring fee allows for continued data access. And landowners are hungry for our technology. We've partnered with Yosemite National Park and have a dozen interested beta customers from many industries, including timber, which we've identified as our beachhead market because our technology can save the nearly $400 billion in revenue at risk of wildfires each year. We're excited to see our work positively impact the environment and improve the livelihoods of millions. Thank you.
Hi, I am Stefan from Team Refresher Box. What do you do when your clothes smell? You wash. For each washing process, we use about 50 liters of water. And in 1 year, one person uses about 10 kilograms of detergent. That equals for the whole world in 1 year a resource wastage of 16 gigaton water and over 200 million cubic meters of detergent. Not even mention microplastic, wastewater treatment, detergent production, its storage cost, and many more. And yet, we still wash clothes that is not dirty, it just smells. But we have the answer.
Welcome to the future. The refresher box disinfects without chemicals and without water. We use an intelligent combination of physical methods, like light of different wavelengths, active oxygen, temperature modes, and air pressure, to eliminate bacteria, viruses, fungi, and all other microorganisms. And that simply works in this refresher box. You just hang your suit, your jacket, your jeans, any textile you want, made of any material you want. Wool, cashmere, silk. You could even put your astronaut suit in here. You just close the refresher box and start the gentle process. My name is Gernot, and we are a team from the RWTH Aachen University, one of Europe's most renowned universities. And we created in the team not just the large version, but also a small version. For your helmet, for gloves, for face masks, and even shoes. The best thing of the refresher box, it just needs a usual power plug. You can not only use the refresher box with a button, you can also use your smartphone. You just simply scan the QR code, open our web app, and can here in this case do pay per use. So you just pay, for example, with PayPal to start the refresher box. This is the app for the end user, but we also created an app for the maintenance. So seeing the refresher box status, seeing the different refresher boxes on the map, and when you have to maybe change a filter or change a lamp inside of the refresher box.
As if that is not enough, this refresher box also iron your shirt, your suits, and dresses. What we offer is not just another or better washing machine. What we offer is the future of washing.
Because the refresher box is the scent of innovation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kevin, the founder and CTO of Innoflex, a master engineering student at the University of Eindhoven. The world is dealing with critical challenges like global warming, energy transition, and pollution. These challenges require more advanced solar cells, batteries, and environmental force. They consist of multiple nanotechnology layers, and complex advanced production systems are required to produce them. I invented a new, simple, scalable production architecture for these forces that does away with all this unnecessary complexity, achieving higher quality, new features, and a lower cost compared to current production systems. We produce and sell forces requested by our customers, and upon request, we co-develop and industrialize their products as well. Our extensive experience and flexible production capabilities drastically speed up the time to market. We believe that Innoflex can truly make a global impact by producing the most advanced next generation forces. Thank you.
We need to change the way that we're farming. 33% of our soils are degraded, and at current rates, we expect 50% of our soils to be degraded by 2050. It is now more pressing than it's ever been to adopt climate-resilient technologies. Take Freddie. Freddie is a farmer based in California who's finding it harder and harder to farm as the weather becomes more volatile and his soil nutrients become depleted. Numerous companies have told Freddie that he can use microbe-based solutions. However, these don't seem to work as well as advertised. What Farmer Freddy needs is Evu Bio. At Evu Bio, we work to ensure that these products work as well as advertised. Using an MIT patented technology, we can store and administer these microbes better than anyone else. The global fertilizer market is worth $200 billion a year, and we're looking to disrupt it. We are Evu Biologics, a climate-focused company with deep expertise from MIT and Harvard in building tough technologies. We're excited to revolutionize and democratize access to microbe-based solutions. Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Sexton, and I'm the founder and CEO of Lifedrive, an assistive technology company that's providing alternative wheelchair control solutions to disabled individuals, allowing them to fully control their power wheelchairs based on their preference and need. Our story started 7 years ago when my father, Sean, was diagnosed with ALS, a progressive neuromuscular disease that slowly takes away your ability to move, talk, and breathe. On top of the physical challenges, there are mental challenges that come with these types of diseases as well, as patients face loss of independence and decrease in quality of life head on. When my dad was losing the ability to talk and move his hands, he saw his independence begin to slip away, since he could no longer safely or fully control his power wheelchair. Like many others, alternative solutions didn't work for him, so we decided to do something about it. We built a solution that allowed him to fully control his power wheelchair with his eyes. And within 2 years, we implemented voice and joystick solutions as well. A solution that lets you be fully in control of your mobility, however you see fit, deserves to be in the hands of those whose quality of life depends on it. And that solution is Lifedrive.
Hello, we are Listen In, a tech startup dedicated to intelligent hearing solutions.
Imagine you're at a cocktail party. Dozens of voices fill the room. You try talking to your friend, but it's hard to make out what exactly he's trying to say. What? I can't understand you. Can you repeat what you just said? If any of this rings a bell, you've experienced the cocktail party problem. We were inspired to start this company because of my dad. My dad was born with hearing loss, and when I was young, he used to tell me stories about how at large social gatherings, he always ran into the same problem, conversation. Conventional hearing aids lack the right hardware and software to accurately identify a speaker in the crowd. What if we use AI to overcome these limitations?
A New York Stock Exchange spokesman said his organization has received the letter and plans to answer it soon, period.
Instead of amplifying all sounds received by the hearing aid, our patent-pending product can intelligently amplify only the voice of the primary speaker. Our device analyzes the listener's brainwaves using a compact ear EEG, which identifies which voice the brain is focusing on. The end result is a more compact, more natural-sounding hearing aid.
In Lysus, we supply materials to manufacture batteries, leveraging expertise in remote sensing and artificial intelligence. We believe this is a $1 trillion opportunity as the demand for materials to manufacture batteries is increasing drastically. However, this is bringing with it a substantial social and environmental problem as more minerals are demanded, and this is also a problem of supply chain because this is mostly controlled by China. Our vision is to build a data architecture that allows for the exploration of minerals in order to leverage this to create strategic partnerships and to supply the minerals. We believe we can do this by partnering with the sustainable miners, and we believe this is an area that has a substantial opportunity as our competitive landscape shows. In order to accomplish this, we will raise $280,000 in convertible debt. Thank you.
I am Juan Carlos Munguia Castañeda, and I'm an aeronautical engineer, searching for a master's on aerospace design from CETIS University, Campus Mexicali, and I'm the co-founder of M Aerospace RTC, an engineering company that focuses on the development of 3D metal equipment for the aerospace industry. Our company is trying to make the 3D process more efficient, as well as to maintain the best quality of the parts, and also speed the manufacturing process on an industry with more than $90 billion US. We have developed a unique 3D printing metal system which involves the use of a 5-axis robot arm to be able to print any shape without supports on a manufacturing area. The system comes with an all-in-one solution platform called Armdus 2.0 that is able to monitorize in real time through augmented reality how the parts are going to be 3D print, drill, inspect, and assemble. With our system, we're able to integrate several equipments, and not just our 3D printers. So you can set up several systems at a time, and even integrate CNC machining to meet customer requirements. All access is through a link which can be accessed through any tablet or smartphone. Currently, we have more than 10 customers using our system through our platform. We have reached on this 2020 more than $5,000 in revenue, which we're estimating to expand at least 10 times the growth in the next month through a global expansion. We have a solid engineering team with more than 25 years of experience backing up the development and ready for scaling up. Thank you. We are M Aerospace RTC, an incubated company at CETIS University in Baja California, Mexico.
My name is Roy Stillwell, the CEO and founder of NearWave, and we're building the NearWave Imager, which is a new breast cancer imaging device that uses near-infrared spectroscopy. And we got a great team of 6 folks that are working on this right now. I think we've raised about $185,000 in non-dilutive and some small dilutive funding. And just this past week won Innovation of the Year for here in Indiana. So really cool technology. Basically, we're trying to solve a couple of problems. The first one being that it's really hard to diagnose breast cancer in women that have dense breast tissue. And the technology that we're using is agnostic to this. You can see really easily in dense breast tissue. And the second problem is in chemotherapy types, folks, it's hard to tell whether or not someone's responding to chemotherapies. And we found that, actually some studies that within 7 days, you can tell whether or not someone's going to respond to chemotherapy. And so we have potentially a really cool new disruptive technology and would love to be.
Hi there, my name is Jacob Miller, CFO with Paldera Pharmaceuticals, and with me today is our inventor and co-founder, William Colton. Catheter-associated UTIs are the #1 hospital-acquired infection as reported by the Centers for Disease Control. If left untreated, they can cascade into other serious diagnoses, such as sepsis, which in turn lead to 13,000 in-hospital deaths every single year. These infections also place a yearly $1.7 billion economic burden on the healthcare industry, and because patients are diagnosed while under hospital care, hospitals absorb all of the incremental costs associated with treatment. This could lead to a burnout in medical labor, extended hospitalizations for patients, and even further antibiotic resistance.
We're not the first bacteriophage-based therapeutic in development, but we've optimized our technology to make bacteriophage more effective than 5 of the leading classes of antibiotics. Our technology can be broken down to 3 main components. Our weighted blend of bacteriophage, which prevents some 99% of catheter-associated UTI infections. Our microencapsulation procedure, which takes the shelf life of our bacteriophage from a matter of hours to up to 2 to 3 years on the shelf. And we use our secondary hydrogel coating to provide 30 days of protection during the full use of our catheter coating. The U.S. Patent Office has published our PCT as of August of 2019 with 14 claims of novelty, protecting our IP in over 300 countries worldwide. As mentioned earlier, we're not the only bacteriophage-based therapeutic. For example, Locus Biosciences uses a genetically engineered E. coli phage to treat urinary tract infections. But the issue with their technology is they use it in an intravenous route. We prevent the infection from happening in the first place. We coat the medical device, which is the source of infection, and prevent the patient from getting sick, saving the hospital and the patient money.
In using a business-to-business approach in its operations, Paldera is going to produce this bacteriophage hydrogel for a price of 50 cents and sell it directly to catheter manufacturers for a price of $8, which the manufacturer would then coat their catheters in and sell it directly to hospital physicians. Should Paldera choose to go down the route of selling directly to hospitals, a dedicated sales force may be needed or required to complement relationships with other distributors such as MedTech.
We have a diverse scientific advisory and corporate and legal advisory board, including Peter Coder, an antimicrobial regulatory consultant and a scientific advisory board member at CarbX, one of the leading funds to help address the antimicrobial resistance crisis. As for our corporate and legal advisors, we have a diverse group of entrepreneurs and experienced businessmen to help support our company as we progress and grow through the phases of business development.
Hi, my name is Connor Sweeney. I am the CEO and co-founder of Rubigo, which is a first-in-class biocontrol method for bacterial crop pathogens. We're in a crisis of crop pathogens right now where tens of billions of dollars of fruit and grains are lost every single year to untreatable bacterial pathogens. And Rubigo believes that the way out of that is by building better pesticides. So we engineer bacteria that you actually spray onto a crop field. Those bacteria act as molecular vigilantes. They live inside of the crop, freely floating. And if a pathogen shows up, we are able to very targetedly kill it. And our product's really safe for the field and any exposed human field workers. We have a team of 3 co-founders, all MIT bioengineers, and we just raised some preliminary fundraising so that we can expand our in vitro proof of concept, which is great, into plant trials over the next few months. So we're super excited. What we're building is impactful, and we're ready to go.
We're Skywalk, and we're building the bridge between virtual and reality. Augmented reality is coming, but today's augmented reality platforms are like computers before the invention of the mouse. They're incredibly powerful tools, but we have no intuitive way of controlling them until now. In a lab at Stanford, we built a wristband that can digitize individual finger motions and seamlessly bring your hands into the digital universe. We assembled a superstar team and joined Steve Blank's Lean Launchpad, where we did over 120 customer interviews that led us to one realization. According to the major players in augmented reality today, reliable 3D interaction is the keystone that will make or break the industry. Today, headset OEMs and end users are spending big money on input devices that have failed to deliver. When we showed them our MVP device, we got offers for joint demonstrations and a revenue share contract that validated our business model. The next digital wave is coming, and it needs a platform for intuitive interaction. And we have the right crew to build it. With Skywalk, the future's in your hands.
Hi, my name is Amin Khalil, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Soundpiece LLC. Soundpiece began as an alternative to conventional earplugs, which have been using an outdated technology for the last several decades and are not meeting the needs of sound pollution, which is at an all-time high and is not going away anytime soon. So Soundpiece is a fitted over-the-ear earplug solution that will promote better sleep, promote comfort, can be worn for hours on end. Now, furthermore, within the Soundpiece Sleep Muff, the over-the-ear wearable, is the Soundpiece nanofiber lining, which is a patent-pending formulation of electrospun nanofibers that can block out sound in virtually any setting and can be used as insulation in homes, in walls, in cars, in curtains, and with a myriad of possibilities. Overall, Soundpiece is going to be the next generation of soundproofing materials using nanofibers, and I look forward to see where it goes.
Every year, companies in the United States spend over $12 billion in the process of inventory counting in supply chain. This process is labor-intensive, inaccurate, and hinders operations all across the supply chain. In a world where labor is becoming more scarce and companies are being pushed to become more productive. Here's where we step in. Stack develops computer vision tools that can provide scalable and efficient inventory counting to any company, regardless of shape, size, or budget. Our team is ideal for this endeavor, balancing technical expertise and business acumen from PhD candidates at MIT and MBA students. With the money from this competition, we strive to continue to progress on MVP development, launching our product over the next year until testing it over several pilot programs with small and medium companies.
Hopefully, we're all wearing clothes right now. But our second skin is also one of the biggest polluters on our planet. It's responsible for more carbon emissions than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. Every second, one truck full of textiles is dumped or burned. I've seen this firsthand in China, where my childhood playground is now a textile dumpster. Hello, I'm Shelly, founder and CEO of SXD. We merge trade secret design with AI to turn leftover textiles into zero-waste clothing with over 80% smaller carbon footprint. While most sustainable fashion solutions today look quite basic and cost 30% more, our solution requires no compromise. We turn fashion ideas into zero-waste clothing that looks beautiful and actually costs 55% less to produce. We are building sustainable fashion's first win-win solution. We're building the Tesla of fashion.
Hi, I'm Sophia, CEO of Unifage. Unifage uses deep learning to accelerate the development of safe, viral-based antibacterial solutions. Unifage primarily targets bacterial diseases in agriculture, with our very first target being citrus greening. Unifage has secured research partnerships, LOIs, and non-dilutive funding. And we are currently raising our seed round. So to learn more about how we are building a world free of bacterial diseases, hit us up.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the ASU Innovation Open. My name is Eric Cohen, and I'm the founder of Brain Power Jam, a current ASU master student, and your host for today's event. We're coming to you live from Sun Devil Stadium here at Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona, where it is a perfect 78 degrees and sunny. I'm thrilled to announce to you 30 teams coming from 20 schools from across the globe, all pitching products designed to change the world. To help them on this mission, we have over $300,000 in cash prizes up for grabs today. So will it be someone from a big-name school like MIT, Harvard, or Stanford that takes home the prize? Or will this money be going to a school overseas? Or can a hometown hero from ASU protect the crown? Well, I sure can't wait to find out. So let's head up to the studio because it's time for Kickoff.
Stand by the toss. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, whoa, great arm, Eric. Good afternoon and welcome to the 6th annual ASU Innovation Open. Sparky, can you help me? Thank you. Oh, man. Okay, over. All right, I'm Tristan, the Senior Director of Programs for Seed Spot and a Phoenix-based social impact accelerator and a former Sun Devil. Go Devils. Today, I have the honor of being your co-host. The ASU I.O. competition is designed to challenge and advance university student innovators who aim to develop hard tech ventures by showcasing ideas from college students across the world and providing them with mentorship and funding. We hope to empower the next generation of problem solvers. The teams here today represent a wide variety of cutting-edge marketplaces, including but not limited to hardware solutions, Internet of Things, and social enterprises with a focus on conscious capitalism. The great thing about having a virtual event is that we're able to join teams from all over the globe. Let's see some of our teams. Eric? Eric. Oh. Not yet, hold on. I think we're watching. Oh, Eric. You okay?
Yeah. That was just a lot of stairs.
It was a lot of stairs.
But I'm here, I'm ready to go. Thank you, Tristan. Great catch earlier. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to give a big thank you to all the teams who participated this year. We're so happy to have you here today to celebrate you and to see your ideas grow. This event would not be possible without your talent and perseverance.
Speaking of people responsible for this amazing event, the funding and mentorship opportunities provided to the teams are made possible by amazing sponsors. For example, Breakthrough Energy Ventures, EC Challenge, the ASU IRA School of Engineering, BD Amazon Web Services, Avnet, Arizona Board of Regents, and Source Global.
We also want to take this opportunity and thank all of the wonderful judges, mentors, and audience members who volunteered their time for this event.
Today, we will start off by showcasing the history and background of the ASU I.O., as well as a list of prizes for which our incredible teams are competing. We will hear from a variety of distinguished speakers and panelists, and we have an exciting interview with a keynote, Tom Prescott, previous CEO of Invisalign. We'll announce the prizes and then provide an opportunity for you, the audience members, to chat with the teams in a breakout room.
So without further ado, here is Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering Dean Kyle Squires on the state of the university and its...
Hey everyone, just a few quick things as we get kicked off today. First, welcome. Welcome to the Fulton Schools of Engineering. Welcome to Arizona State University. We are looking forward to the competition. You are all to be congratulated on all that you've done simply to get to this point. Just to, again, a few quick things about themes. One of those themes today is obvious. Entrepreneurship. The other theme that's so important is impact, and both of those are vital to the success of the Fulton Schools. Now, in the Fulton Schools of Engineering, we work very hard to create a lot of opportunities to constantly seek ways for our students to, guess what, make impact. And we do this through many different pathways for students to advance in programs. One of those is, again, guess what, student entrepreneurship. It's vital. It teaches a lot of skills. It allows you to practice, refining your ideas, refining your pitch, and so forth. It's important to us. It's part of what we call the Fulton difference. That's all of the things that we do for our students outside the classroom. So you can grow as an engineer, computer scientist, technologist. It might be undergraduate research, might be a teaching assistant, might be a leadership opportunity. But again, entrepreneurship fits into that ecosystem, and we really do think that gives our students a competitive advantage. Being involved in entrepreneurship is important. It's a chance to practice. You get better at things by practicing, thinking creatively, how to generate value, how to understand the power of your idea, and how to cultivate and understand the opportunity. Our job, we have the easy part to provide the support, the structures, the people, the mentors, whatever it takes to get that venture moving, get it off the ground. Now, today is one of the really great things about entrepreneurship, and that is having a chance to compete, to go against your peers, to pitch your ideas and find out, hey, you might break through in that competition and get to the next level. But again, congratulations to everybody for getting to this point. So we're very happy to see everybody here today. We also think as these efforts move forward, it allows us to reflect. When we started this competition, we wanted to be the premier student entrepreneurship competition in the Southwest. We've hit that, we've made that. Now it's to, if you will, take over the West, go national. And increasingly, as engineering is becoming so global, so should entrepreneurship. How do we think about that? How do we really think about attracting students from all over the world in the most inclusive fashions possible, connecting students, faculty, our programs around themes like entrepreneurship so our students can make impact. This competition embodies that. So we're very proud to have engagement from our students overseas in this particular student competition. We welcome your teams, we welcome your ideas, and we're looking forward to seeing how that goes today. So as I wrap up, I also want to be sure to thank our university partners. It takes a lot of individuals and organizations to make this successful. Our mentors have been vitally important to this as well. So thank you to everybody who's made this happen. As we move forward, we're looking forward to seeing how these pitches go today and how the opportunity moves forward for you all after the competition. And with that, back to you guys.
Great introduction by Dean Squires. Much of what Dean Squires said is relevant to the future of entrepreneurship and innovation. I especially liked that he talked about the impact that these teams are going to make on the world today. If that isn't a statement that summarizes this competition, I don't know what is.
Eric, when I was an undergrad, I gave campus tours, as a hobby. And as a result, I have a wealth of knowledge or random facts stored in my noggin. So I'd like to share with you a couple of my numbers. The Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering has received 266 patents in the past 3 years alone. And 31 startups have been incubated and launched while in one of the 7 engineering schools. Again, we'd like to thank Dean Squires and the Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering at large for supporting this event and our teams. You're providing a higher education perspective on the state of entrepreneurship and innovation. You are a leader and an example of innovation for not only our campus, but the world.
You know, Tristan, I've got some relevant facts for you too. I'm going to give you 4 numbers that represent the local startup ecosystem. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. My first number is 5. That's the number of companies that just received a grant from the newly announced Emerge AZ Fast Grant Program. Emerge AZ is focused on supporting local entrepreneurs that are helping to build our economy and expand Arizona's tech ecosystem. That's just one of the many opportunities for startups to acquire funding here in Arizona. All right, my second number is 552,323,216. That was a mouthful there. That number, which is just over 552 million, is the amount of startup funding raised in Scottsdale, Arizona in Q4 of 2021. That's Q4 alone. This is mostly thanks to 3 huge 9-figure funding rounds. Now, according to these statistics reported by AZ Big Media, Scottsdale is now the fastest growing startup city in the country. All right, going even bigger, my third number is 12 billion. That represents the $12 billion chip factory being built by Apple supplier TSMC here in Phoenix, Arizona. That, along with a major investment from Intel, make Arizona a leader in global semiconductor manufacturing as we address the worldwide chip shortage. All right, and here's my final number. It is 7 Why 7? Well, that's because Arizona State University has been ranked #1 in innovation for the 7th consecutive year by U.S. News and World Report. That is just so exciting to me. Congratulations to the entire ASU community. Keep innovating.
I feel like your major should have been math and not innovation.
Well, luckily the two of them go hand in hand. All right, and now a word on the state of the ecosystem and growth of competition from Cody Friesen, CEO of ASU.io sponsor Source Global and founder of the ASU.io.
Okay, thanks so much. And again, thank you to Dean Kyle Squires for his remarks. Always so appreciative of the Fulton Schools of Engineering support for the ASU Innovation Open. We're now in the 6th year of this competition. From very humble beginnings to now this year, we're going to go over $300,000 in prizes to student entrepreneurs. And we founded this competition to really showcase what's possible, showcase what student entrepreneurs are all about, to bring to light the relatively substantial problems that young people are trying to solve, and to help propel them into a successful business, right? Entrepreneurs are a special breed. You have to sort of fail your way to success, and you have to take those data points and become the entrepreneur that's ultimately going to be successful. It's not enough to just want to go build a business for a business sake, because it's just too much work. And so the people that are successful, the people that I've known that have been successful as entrepreneurs, are people who are particularly passionate about a particular thing, a particular problem they want to solve, or a particular group of people they want to help, or whatever the thing is that they're passionate about, but that has to be at the core. And what I've seen across the contestants this year is unparalleled level of passion for what they're working on. And so just really excited to be here and humbled to be a part of the ASU.io, and can't wait to see what comes of all of you entrepreneurs. All right, all the best, and excited for today.
Really appreciate Cody's insight and Source Global's continued sponsorship of this event. With the help of sponsors like ASU and Source Global, our previous competition winners have gone on to achieve great things. Next, we will hear from 2 founders and previous winners from ASU.io, Sophia Wenstedt, co-founder and CEO of Blip Energy, and Catherine Sizov, CEO and founder of Strela Biotechnology.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. My name's Sophia, and I'm here with Catherine. And we'll just take a minute and introduce yourselves. Catherine, I'd love to hear more about what you are working on and what you've done sort of in the last year since ASU.io last year.
Sounds great. Great to chat with you, Sophia. I'm Catherine. I'm the founder of Strela. Basically, 1/3 of all food is wasted before it's consumed, which is a crazy number that kind of hurts all of our souls. But the reason that this happens is because food supply chains aren't really designed for perishable products. And so what we do is we've created a proprietary sensing technology that enables us to predict the maturity of produce. And we couple that with some software solutions to help our customers make actionable decisions about what to do. Basically, our whole goal is to eliminate those way too hard or way too mushy avocados at the grocery store, alongside eliminating food waste.
That's awesome. How long have you been working on it?
Probably about 4 years now. So I started when I was still in college, and then I've been doing it 2 years out now.
Sweet. That's really cool. And yeah, I'm working on a company called Blip Energy. So we noticed that there's a real lack in the market of accessible home energy products. So if you want to buy an expensive whole home solution, you can do that. But if you're an apartment, a condo, or you just live in a house and you don't want to shell out tens of thousands of dollars, you don't have good backup battery solutions. So we're on a mission to build the most accessible smart home battery. And we're leveraging second life batteries to keep our costs low and make it as accessible to folks as possible. And we've been working for about 2 years.
That's awesome. Is your I'm just curious, is your initial market like in the US?
Yeah, we're looking at the US first, partly because there's a big need here, but also because we understand it and we have access to the batteries. So all the batteries are here in the US. We have a repurposing partner in Michigan, and I live in Chicago, so we can drive up and visit them. So we're starting in the US to make sure that we sort of understand the second life battery life cycle, and we have a better grasp on utilities here, but we're definitely looking at international expansion eventually. What about you?
Yeah, our primary market is in the US. Right now, we're doing some work on the import side. So, working with Kiwis out of Greece, working with some Argentinian and Chilean pairs, but mainly we work within North America.
That's cool. Have there been any sort of unexpected, I mean, hard tech and hardware is full of unexpected challenges. Hardware is really hard, I've felt. I don't know if you felt the same way, but have there been any like really unexpected challenges with building a sensor product?
Totally. I mean, well, obviously we were hit with supply chain this year, so that was a whole mess. So yeah, obviously, like you have to figure out who your CMs actually are, how shipping works. I remember at some point trying to figure out which plane, which pallet in LAX had our stuff on it, and like trying to grab it. So definitely a lot of unexpected stuff. I think also with investment, on the investment side, explaining, what a hardware product is to an investor is always a fun thing to do. What about you? Curious.
Yeah, definitely similar challenges around finding hardware friendly investment. I think one thing that I didn't know, we've gotten better and better at finding the right people to talk to, but at first we would just talk to literally anyone who would listen, which I think was great practice and was really important for getting pitching chops. I was a mechanical engineer before this. I went to business school and then working on this, so I didn't really know how to pitch a business. So I would talk to anyone that would talk to me, which meant that I started a lot of calls explaining 2 sentences about the company and then them immediately telling me that sounds cool, but we don't invest in hardware. I'm like, great, well, the rest of this 20-minute call will be very interesting. So I think that has been one of my bigger lessons learned, is to make sure that you're talking to people who are the right fit for you. And it's good to talk to anyone. I think talk to anyone is a great piece of advice that I was getting up front, but at a certain point you have to be a little bit targeted, especially with hardware. So that was definitely a challenge for us in terms of investment.
I totally agree. It's good that some people at least told you in the first 2 minutes. I feel like it's worse when people kind of drag it out and they're like, wait, actually our investment thesis has nothing to do with hardware on like the 3rd meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so do you have any, I know I have a lot of like early pitching disaster stories. Do you have any good ones that you want to share?
My first one was really nerve-wracking. I didn't even know what a pitch deck was. I'd never pitched anything. And I have no business background whatsoever. My background's in molecular bio. And so I was like, oh, pitch competition sounds fun. So I wrote myself on a note card a 1-minute pitch. And then I was like, I'm going to memorize it and not bring my note card with me. And so when I got there, and I was like coming out after practice, I was an athlete in college. And so I was coming out after practice in my sweats. And I show up there, everyone's wearing like suit and tie. Everyone's a dude. Everyone's got like PowerPoints with like 20 plus slides, and I almost didn't like do it. I almost didn't even go, but I went. It was a 1.5-minute pitch for about 45 seconds. I didn't even say anything because I was so nervous. But I think towards the end, they asked a lot of questions, and I was basically performing an experiment. I needed to buy an antibody to run a Western blot. And I feel like my use of proceeds was so clear to them that I was able to redeem myself a little bit. I think they gave me like $100 or something. And that was the most craziest thing in the universe, that someone gave me money to work on it. So yeah, it was rough. Every time I get really nervous, I'm going to completely blank. So I just a lot and hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, totally. I definitely feel that. I also feel that way about the first time we won any money in a pitch competition. It was like, someone thinks this is a good idea. It's not just me. I think that's something that I've realized trying to build a company is I feel like in my life I have lots of moments where I'm like, that's a thing that should exist. I wonder why it doesn't. And then I'm like, it must be a bad idea. Or like, there must be a reason that this doesn't exist. That's not necessarily true. It's just because it's really hard to build a company and like no one wanted to put in the effort. But yeah, the first time you get validation is so powerful and motivating, and helps get you through the next 100 no's until you get another yes or another check or another person in your corner.
I totally agree. You know what's so weird? I definitely have had moments where like that first like $100 or whatever felt better than some of the next amounts of money, you know, which clearly is some sort of happiness thing. And so I've been like gauging, like, am I properly celebrating this stuff? Because when I first got that money, I remember calling my dad and being like, oh, can you believe it?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff that someone trusted me to do this. So I try to like, I'm trying to on every like fundraise and every time someone puts in something, even like an employee decides to come on,
Yeah.
celebrate it as much as I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's hard to do when you're so deep in the grind to remember to take a step back and like really be excited about things. I did that when we won some money at ASU IO last year. That was huge for us. So that was a big celebration moment for us.
How'd you celebrate? I'm curious.
I mean, it was still like deeply COVID, so I just like went to Target and bought a bottle of champagne.
It doesn't have to be anything like crazy. It's just really about the spirit. Honestly, sometimes the simpler the better.
Yeah, just taking a step back. So where are you guys in your sort of fundraising journey right now?
Yeah, so we're about to close. Oh my God. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say because you know how it works. Like if we say it, then
don't jinx it.
Another COVID will hit. But we're about to close an $8 million financing.
That's awesome.
What about you? Where you at?
Yeah, we're still pretty early. So we raised a pre-seed last year and we're about to start raising a seed round. And that's when we'll start like building the team. But yeah, the pre-seed took a long time. It was sort of like a trickle. It wasn't like, all right, I think that's something that I learned too, is I didn't know the strategy to line up a bunch of pitches and go on sort of a roadshow and go on like a 2-week block and just bang them all out. So we just had this extended slog is a very negative term, but this extended marathon of pitching, like a few calls every week. And then they'd introduce us to someone else or someone in their network. And it just felt like it lasted forever. So trying to not do that with this round and do a little bit more strategizing up front now that we have a little bit of a better sense how to do it. But yeah, we've raised one proper round so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where I was at. I never raised a formal pre-seed. I just did like ASU type competitions when I was in college. And that was so awesome and gave me the ability to have some like non-diluted capital before I went in for the round.
Yeah.
First customer and stuff. But yeah, I'm happy to connect you to any hardware folks that I know.
Yeah.
A couple, so
that'd be awesome.
Just let me know.
And when did you start building your team in relation to when you got your first customers?
Yeah, so well, the biggest thing, so obviously Jay had come on as my co-founder, but you know, we weren't really making any money or anything like that. I think our first paid employee was well, I'm building like a sensor technology, right? But undergrad molecular bio only gets you so far. So the first hire was a postdoc who had worked in sensors before, and so that he could like get working in a little bit more advanced way on our sensor tech.
How did you find your first customer?
Cold emails. So, yeah, we work in a super conglomerated niche market. We work in packing right now, mainly in apples and pears. So an apple can be over a year old by the time it gets to the grocery store because it's stored. Yeah.
What?
Not in like a creepy way. Like apples can actually just sit around in oxygenless environments for that long. But the people that do it are packers, and so they were our first customers. So the good news about them is they're not like Hollywood directors or anything like that, and nobody like people email them, but it's like possible to cold email them and get a response, and so that's what we did.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so we're in an interesting sort of intersection because we have obviously the benefit to an individual customer or household, which is having backup power and control over energy usage, but we also have the sort of grid stakeholder customer because we're putting an IoT energy resource in a totally new segment of people. So these customers we're still working on. We're in this sort of no man's land where we're working on getting certification. And we've had a lot of like, yeah, that sounds great. Come back and talk to us once you get certification. And we're like, cool, we'll do that. But in terms of reaching end customers, we actually did a Kickstarter pre-order in November of 2021. So that was super exciting. We wanted to make sure that we had a line of sight to being able to deliver it. I don't think that there's anything, especially depending on your product, like I don't think there's anything wrong with running like a fake pre-order campaign and then just refunding people or whatever, but we wanted it to be a little bit more tangible. Like we have line of sight to actually delivering product to actual people. So I think we waited a little bit longer than we could have or than people expected us to get that kind of sales traction. But now that we have it, it's great. And we also have now a whole batch of qualified early adopters that we've started pinging to do like user testing, and we're like testing app designs with them and some language and some other things about customer education and how to deal with your electric bill. So that's also just sort of a great perk of now having this batch of people who are excited enough to put money down on one of these products and are also a little more easily accessible than trying to go on Reddit and be like, who wants a $10 Amazon card to talk to me about this thing that you don't understand? But yeah, Kickstarter was a big learning experience for me, for the team, mostly for me. I think it went well overall. I think if I did it again, I learned a lot just about like influencers and third-party videos and unboxing reviews and all of those kinds of things. We didn't really do the pre-legwork to be able to have like an unboxing video. So I think if we did it again, we would definitely take those kinds of steps. But overall, it was a great experience. And a lot of companies, or established companies, are launching new products on Kickstarter as sort of a pre-order, which is a really interesting trend.
Yeah, I've never kind of dabbled in that at all, but it definitely seems to be like a really powerful tool to use.
All right, Catherine, any words for the competitors this year?
Yeah, well, I guess all this is caveated, but I think a big kind of piece of advice that I always give is, it's not that big of a risk, like don't put on so much pressure on your shoulders. People take all sorts of leaps of faith, and it happens. Even if you don't win, you took something away from that experience. So I think sometimes taking a step back and realizing, you know what, it's okay. I'm not like doing anything super duper crazy, and it's a really big accomplishment to even be competing and being passionate about something, having thought through something so deeply and caring about it. So just like give yourself a little pat on the back and then go out and do what you can do.
Yeah, go out and crush it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I also I totally agree. It's such an accomplishment to have gotten this far in terms of being in a competition like this, but also just gotten this far in terms of having something you're passionate enough about to put coherent thoughts on paper and be able to bring people along with you. That's only going to keep happening. Like you're only going to keep bringing more and more people along with you. Like you'll hear more no's, but you'll also hear a lot more yeses. You'll get more and more people in your corner, especially from competitions like this. We made a ton of connections at competitions, but especially at ASUIO last year, that were super helpful in us moving forward and making all the progress that we made in the year after that. So congrats on being here. Keep on keeping on. Reach out if you have any questions or need anything or want any intros or want to commiserate. And yeah, you're doing a great job. So Catherine, thank you for being here and chatting with me and chatting with the people today. And thanks to ASUIO for having us, and we'll throw it back to you guys.
All right, well, thank you both to Sophia and Catherine for returning to the competition and speaking with us today. It's really impressive to me how much both founders have been able to grow their ventures in such a short time frame, and I think they highlight the potential that this current group of teams has. You know, I also really liked Catherine's closing message to today's competitors about simply being proud of the fact that you're passionate about something, that you've thought through something so deeply and cared about it, as she said. It was almost poetic and something every single team competing here today should feel good about.
I personally really took away this idea of resilience, right? We heard about pitching in sweatpants, this endless pitch after pitch after pitch, sometimes hearing a series of no, 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 and yet still they persisted, right? Still they wake up every morning and they go out there to make the world a better place, as we said. So the resilience that our founders, not only in this talk, but that are all competing, I think my assumption is that want or desire to make the world better is what wakes them up every day and keeps them moving forward. Now, we have another amazing Between Two Founders talk. Cody has invited a very special guest to join him. Let's hear from them.
All right, awesome. So excited to be here today at our 6th ASU I/O, the ASU Innovation Open, which every year the contestants get better. Every year the competition gets bigger. And we're so excited about the range of students, the internationality of the competition this year, and just all the cool technology that students are bringing into companies and trying to bring out to the world. And so we thought, well, what better way to celebrate that than to have two founders, Neil Grimmer here and
hey everyone,
myself, talk to each other for the next 15 or 20 minutes about starting companies, building companies, solving hard problems, and doing that in a way that makes the world a better place.
Yeah, changing the world.
There we go. Yeah,
right on.
So Neil, you've built several companies. Why don't you tell the Twitter version of your first company?
Yeah, so I was the co-founder and CEO of Plum Organics. Today it's one of the leading organic baby food brands in the country, and our claim to fame is we created the squeeze pouch baby food. So have you ever seen those? Pouch with a big cap on it, and kids, you know, sucking down purees like purple carrots and kale and quinoa. That was us. We did that, and started it back in 2007. You know, and bear in mind, I had no business background. I have an art degree, punk rock musician, and found my way into business a little bit by accident, which we'll probably get into in a little bit. But anyway, grew it to be the fastest growing food company in America. Sold it to Campbell's Soup in 2013.
What was the hardest technical challenge you guys solved?
You know, I think for us, the hardest technical challenge was mostly trying to get this new packaging system up and running in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
So the packaging was from Japan. The equipment to fill the packaging was in Italy. And they kind of ran like Ferraris, you know, they run fast and then they break all the time, right? So we were constantly trying to square all these different systems together. And then on top of that, you know, put the very best baby food into them, you know, with exotic ingredients, like I said, like kale and quinoa and all this kind of stuff. So it was really putting that whole system together that was the biggest challenge.
Awesome. And some of our contestants this year are really in the space of delivering to people a better product, right? Whether that's baby food or makeup or other things. So there are plenty of contestants here that are applying different forms of technology to sort of shift the way that we consume. And so you were obviously a big innovator in that space. So congrats on the win on that one.
Yeah, no, thanks, Ben. And likewise, I mean, obviously, you know, and I should full disclosure, Cody and I actually worked together at Source Global with the HydroPanel technology, which I'm sure you're all very aware of. But equally, I'd ask you, I mean, when you think about that first moment when you said, I want to solve a water problem, and yet you had material science and engineering and background in sustainable renewable technologies, how did that coalesce into a moment where you were like, I know what my first step is going to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, my background is in the renewable energy space, right? And people go into renewables because they see a massive problem in the world around climate change and the way that we've gotten, you know, our energy historically. And so there's an opportunity to solve a big problem. One of the challenges, of course, with being in the renewable space is that you don't ever get to actually touch human beings, right? Impact individual humans with a solution.
Right.
And so this idea that with a renewables approach, we could actually shift the way that people access and have ownership and independence over perfect drinking water. Like bringing those two things together was the aha, the philosophical aha.
Yeah.
Right. And then years later came the technical aha. This is how we actually achieve it. And so the beautiful thing about building this business, unlike other businesses I've built, is we are directly lifting people up. And you'll see in many of the contestants this year how many young people are thinking about, how do I improve people's lives with this solution? And then it's only building a successful team, a successful company to bring that to the world, right? Which is, of course, the hard part next. But the first hard part is, how do we arrive at a problem statement worthy of our time and our effort? And of course, that's what many of you are doing. That's what Neil has done in the past. That's what we're doing at Source. I'm curious to ask you about, I was thinking about Plum. What was the moment that you knew you had product market fit? Because when I think about the contestants at ASUIO, every one of the folks that is here today has a product that is inspiring. It has an idea that's inspiring. It has something that could very well have product market fit. Right. How did you know when you had?
And this is, thanks for asking that question. It's a really fun story. So when we first launched the company, there's a trade show called the Natural Products Expo, and this is where you go to sell your products to all the buyers, like buyers of Whole Foods and the like. And at the time, we had enough money for a trade show booth, or enough money to ship a trade show booth, but not enough for both. And so we're like, you know what? It was like, after a day of noodling on that, we're like, let's buy a school bus, shrink wrap it, and drive it on the show floor and have all of our products. And now this is a show that was happening in Boston. We were in the Bay Area, California. So we literally filled a school bus full of our products, all of our displays, drove it across the country, right onto the show floor, and then unpacked everything around it, and created so much buzz. People were like, what's going on with this company? It was freaking awesome, right? And we just brought energy and vibe. And the whole show, we were trying to track down the Whole Foods buyers, because Whole Foods is the pinnacle of retail success in the natural organic world. And the head buyer of Babies R Us walked up. And at the time, we weren't even in baby food yet. We had a squeeze pouch for kids in their lunchbox. And the guy's name's Paulie D. He's from New Jersey. And Paulie D has become a dear friend of mine, because we effectively built the business together. But Paulie D was like, look, fly out to New Jersey next week. I want to talk to you about launching your baby food line. We talked to him what we had. And at the time, it was only in sketches, right? So we knew that we had the right set of things. We knew exactly where we were going to go. So I fly out and have dinner with him. And he literally leans across the table and he's like, if you can give me that product, the sketch that we had, in 3 months, I will launch you nationally and introduce you to every new mother in America, because at the time, Babies R Us had the largest new parent registry. And without a hesitation, I said yes. And literally that moment, and those 6 products, still the best-selling products we have, Hockey Stick the company. Called California and was like, guys, we have a week to produce final art, get it all working. We hit the deadline. 3 months later, we had this brand new, totally disruptive product, and it totally changed the baby food category. If you go walk the aisles today, 90% of what you see is this format across every brand, Gerber, Earth's Best, you name it. So that was the moment. And I think the lesson, quite frankly, for me always is like, lean in to say yes. I know you have a philosophy here at company, yes if, right? Which I know probably has a lot of similar DNA. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so maybe just take a half step back and say, especially for all you folks that are building businesses, we can talk about products, we can talk about technology, and then of course, what really matters is people, right? Who are the people that are working with you? How have you partnered, et cetera? But even more important than people is how those people show up. And what that has driven in the way that I build companies is culture first. Because while people are the most important asset in any team, it is the culture in which they exist that enables them to either shine and be that A player that they always wanted to be, or causes them to not be able to deliver. Right. And so a huge part of our ethos here is culture first, and how do we think about building a company where people are part of a culture that is theirs. That's a sort of always in draft form. And one of those cultural elements that Neil's mentioning is never no because and always yes if. And the idea that every concept needs to be given a fair hearing. Yes, if we would do that thing. Yes, if we had another $1 million. Yes, if we had 3 months. Yes, if whatever that constraint clearing thing is. It doesn't mean that you necessarily do it, but it's the sort of the orientation of figuring out how to solve the problem. So when you said yes to deliver me product that can go national, you're going main stage first out the gates in 3 months, right? That's that most founders would have flinched and said, no, give me a year, and the opportunity's gone. But you went yes if, and then of course it was probably the next 90 days were probably quite exciting. But every one of these entrepreneurs, every one of you will have moments that will either be like sliding doors and pass you by, or will be the moment that you look back on and say, this is the moment that I knew, right? And that it was, it's always the case that it's clear when it happens. You just don't know in advance which one of those will be.
Exactly. So, one of the things I'm thinking about, all of you out there, you're inventors, you're likely on a path to being entrepreneurs, and then the next journey is to truly be a leader, a CEO, or a leader to guide, a founder and leader to guide a company. Cody, I think about your journey. I mean, it's remarkable the companies you've started, how you've gone from core disciplines of technological capability all the way to being a CEO. Like, when you thought about that moment of moving from being, an innovator to an entrepreneur and then to a CEO, like, how did you wrap your head around that? What did you do that these guys can learn from on how to prepare yourself for those steps and those journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't set out to be a CEO, right? And I think many of the entrepreneurs here aren't setting out to be a CEO as much as they're setting out with something they're passionate about and they're wanting to solve a problem and bring a team around that. And if they happen to be the CEO, great, right? And so when you sort of become an accidental CEO, which I guess you did too.
I did too, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to then put a huge amount of energy into figuring out what kind of leader you want to be and how you want to show up with your team and how you want to collaborate with the people around you. Nobody has ever achieved anything great on their own. It has always been in the context of a team and the ecosystem they find themselves in. And so it is ultimately about how do you become the best collaborator and how do you become the best version of yourself in the way that you show up with other people. And for me, being a CEO means doing a heck of a lot of reading about, interpersonal dynamics, doing a heck of a lot of reading about building culture, doing a heck of a lot of spending time with other entrepreneurs like Neil to learn and glean best practices and feel my way through the dark. Something that I think is really sort of an important thing for people to hear is whenever you're building something that's potentially going to be an important company or developing a product that could be potentially an important product, a thing that's sort of never really said out loud is that nobody's ever done what you're doing before. Experience all of a sudden can be a 4-letter word, right? In the sense that experiences can help guide you, but they can also send you down the wrong path. And so how do you recognize the fact that you have to continually take data, you have to continually learn, because nobody can tell you what direction to go. And so the world is changing, your competition is changing, the problem you're trying to solve is changing. And so actually, when I think about that problem, when we go from Plum to Harley Davidson, right? Neil was the brand president at Harley Davidson after his time at Plum. You go from baby food to bikers, as I always hear you say.
Yeah, a lot of commonality between those two, babies and bikers.
Yeah. And so when you go from baby food to bikes, to motorcycles, again, now you're going from nobody's ever done this before. Nobody's ever done a speech about baby food before you guys did it, to
100-plus-year-old business, and yet you have to reinvent the business.
That's right.
So what does that look like?
You know, it's interesting. When I stepped in the role at Harley, the first thing that I recognized, it's one of the most known brands in the world and most notorious brands in the world, and becoming a steward of that, you know, there was a part of me that I actually didn't want to be an innovator in that sense. I wanted to be an archaeologist, where I wanted to like dust off the bones and figure out kind of the bones of this amazing, beautiful brand, and how do they get reconfigured in a modern way that's still deeply tied to the legacy and the history of the company, right? So that was one part. And then on the innovator side, it's like, how do you bring, you know, a Silicon Valley mindset to, you know, a 150-year-old, 125-year-old manufacturing company? How does that work, right? How do those things come together? And that's where the true opportunity is, right? Kind of understanding how people are shopping today, and, you know, being, you know, what's the intersection between online and in the dealership. You know, I had the pleasure of overseeing the fashion and the apparel side of the business. What are those cutting edge trends that are readily applicable, but then the fashion and apparel needs to be functional and rideable. So many opportunities to innovate, you know, while still keeping a really important eye on preserving the history and the legacy, which is very different than what we just talked about, which is like green field, open playing field, nothing, no history, no legacy. So innovating within that context is very different, right? It puts different design constraints around it.
Bringing an entrepreneur into a 125-year-old company, right?
Yeah.
To sort of reinvent the company.
Right.
So I think we're running short on time here, so we'll throw it back to the studio here in just a moment. Any last thoughts, Neil, before we head out?
No,
for the folks that are competing today.
Yeah, just a huge shout out to all of you. I mean, it's amazing what you're doing. You are the lifeblood of innovation in this country, and it's incredible that you're here. It's incredible that you showed up, that you brought some disruptive innovation and technology, and I just applaud your efforts and just keep going.
Yeah, and same, right? I'm so excited for you guys. You know, it's such a inspiring thing to watch young people stepping out and deciding to be entrepreneurs, because a huge part of being an entrepreneur is sort of failing until you succeed. And so, you know, you need as much support as possible. And you know, we're excited to watch you guys on your journey. Okay, back to the studio.
Sparky, quit sleeping on the job. Come on now, you missed an amazing talk. Okay, maybe it's not as relevant for you, but for me, I was hooked minute one. I'm a parent, and those pouches are literally liquid gold. I want to thank you again, both to Cody and Neil, for an amazing discussion. We literally went from punk rock to pouches. As I was saying, this talk is filled with nuggets for either me, Sparky, or anywhere else. For example, I really appreciated the point about basically shifting the way that we consume our products today. The world around us has changed, we all know that, and the way that customers expect to receive things has changed. So for companies to pay attention to that and really think through your user experience is incredibly important. You not only have to meet their needs, but the market demands, and then ultimately change the world around you. I also was aggressively nodding when both of the founders were touching on the importance of impact. We've talked about impact quite a bit here, that it's the North Star for all of our contestants. And I love hearing from successful companies that have exited how important impact is even when you're exiting.
I really like that, Tristan, the North Star, but really interesting thoughts. And you know, the part of the conversation that most resonated with me was when Neil said, lean in, say yes. And Cody seconded that with never no because, always yes if. And these lines resonated with me because they reminded me of the classic improv comedy mantra, yes and, accepting and heightening, taking what you're given and seeing the possibilities and leaning into those possibilities, as Cody said. And I think as an entrepreneur, having any one of these yes mentalities is vital to navigating uncertainty.
We will now hear from our keynote speaker, Tom Prescott, ASU alum, founder, and previous CEO of Invisalign.
Welcome, Tom.
Well, hello, Tom. Good to see you. Great to connect. How are you doing?
Doing great, Kyle. How are you?
Also doing very well. So that time of the year, that is the Innovation Open is upon us. And it's a very exciting time, spring, a lot of things going on. I'm looking forward to spending a few minutes with you and talking about how we got here in terms of student entrepreneurship at ASU and the partnership in the Fulton Schools. We value those partnerships that we've had with you in terms of support and engagement. To start there, and then second, focus on your journey as entrepreneur and leader, and pose a couple questions, let the conversation flow so that our student founders would really benefit from, if that's, again, sounds okay.
Sounds perfect, with one exception. I'd rather do this in person. We really hope so in 23.
Definitely looking forward to that. So that will indeed be great. In the meantime, this is a great format to still connect. And let's start with student entrepreneurship. You have been involved with us for many years. You have this very unique lens, right? Through direct support, but also a lot of personal engagement, a lot of mentoring, coaching of hundreds, if not thousands of students. Just curious to get going. What are your observations in terms of like what you've seen in terms of our progress and evolution?
First, ASU specific, there's been a great maturation in what I'd call good soil. The university has created an environment to try things, to fail, to learn from those failures, small failures, hopefully, and then lead by example with faculty members and advisors and people in the business community and elsewhere, working in much closer relationships with the student founders. In the last 10 years, and really the last 5, acceleration, this idea of startups and founder experience and entrepreneurship has gone from more of a classroom to what we really aimed for was make it deeply experiential. And my belief, you can learn about the skills of entrepreneurship and management and engineering and technology and leadership and all these things, but until you do it, it's just an abstract. And you see from these student founders, they're tearing their hair out sometimes and they're struggling with all the challenges while they're very busy in their schedules as students, and some of them working part-time as well. So it's a very real world pressure cooker for them. And it's exactly that reality that makes this kind of competition we've had here with the ASU IO and with what leads to it, with these thousands of startups at ASU and elsewhere in every part of the world. And I'll just say the lineup this year for the finalists was stunningly good. And it also shows maturation of the startup ecosystems with the schools they represent and are attached to, sponsored by, and their respective areas. And I'm excited about that.
Couldn't agree more. Entrepreneurship is one of the Fulton difference activities. That is the structures that we put in place. We have the easy part, right? That is, we're putting the structures and the support around that. The students impress. And it has been really gratifying for me to see that as well. So, given that, I think it's incredibly interesting for our student founders and others to learn more about your journey. That is, you've walked the path that these students are starting on. And, given that there's a lot of experiences, a lot of things that you've happened and seen, what are some of those, really relatable findings, thoughts, anecdotes from your experience as early stage startup founder, mentor, and investor that you think are so important to pass along here?
Well, I've done enough things wrong and made enough mistakes that that's the learning. And unfortunately, if the old saying is, if you're not making mistakes, you're not working hard enough, you're not pressing hard enough. And one of the great advantages of being a startup should be agility and nimble decision-making and course correction multiple times every day. And one of the beautiful things about having younger people and even older people that are more set in their careers learn how easy it is to change your mindset and how enjoyable it is to have more control of your destiny by kind of chartering your own ship here and trying this. I think, my journey is a little bit unique. I started out in big company stuff, did a startup and failed, left a big company and a great job and failed back in the mid 80s when it was like, what are you thinking? And that seems like a very long time ago, but it's really yesterday. And what I'd say the difference now is most corners, at least in the US, not some other cultures where failure really has a pretty big backlash. But I think most employers want you to have tried something. They want you to have really aimed high and come up short and learn from it. They want you to learn on somebody else's nickel, of course, especially as a startup founder. But it's critical that you've had some challenges, and what did you do about it? Whether it didn't make it, but what did you learn and take away from that? In my case, I migrated from from the idea that I wanted to run a very big company to this idea that even if I wasn't the founder, if I came in after the founder, or if I was employee 8, I really want to be part of building something new. And as I found my sweet spot, which was where companies that had started up that really needed some help scaling, how to operationalize big company skills into a culture that was still tribal and a very young company and not lose the magic. And that's the last couple CEO roles I had. They were both young companies struggling with financing, great products, important technology, and how do you come in as the new CEO and not lose that management, but really help build something that matters for the long term. So in parallel, what I try to do is both investing in some cases, but helping in a lot of ways is this next generation or two of founders to help them see through this journey they're on. And it's energizing for me to be a little small part of that.
So given that, when you think about all the energy, all the hard work, the great ideas that flow into a venture, what can we tell students, or what do you try to tell student founders, especially, what does success mean? That is, what is it to be successful means what exactly? How do you sort of think about that?
It's a hard one to answer. You have to ask the founder or the founding team. And the teams that do the best, the founders that do the best, have a little bit of an amorphous. They might start out with an idea about the market or what what problem they will solve, but that's going to evolve a lot. And even the best VC investors, if they had to be honest, well, that sounds terrible. I'm not saying they're dishonest, but if they had to say, what were the can't miss deals? And most of them missed. And so sometimes even a prospective investor, while they can see big market size and a real opportunity, they can't always see what you see, which is to get it through there. So sometimes being a little stubborn helps and persistent, but at the same time, you got to take all that negative feedback and learn from it. If you're going to go do something, the way to measure success, I think, is impact. And so you think, especially when you're young and you're broke, you think, boy, I just need to pay the bills and I'm trying to bootstrap this thing and I've got another job and I'm incubating this and this is really hard. And maybe you finally take the leap and you and a couple other team members go off and you're on your own, but it's tough. And so at some point you got to refresh yourself with this idea of impact you want to have. And that really comes back to the purpose. What are you there for? What do you want to change? Think about, if you're going to do it and it's hard to do, you can do something really little. You might as well do something pretty darn big. It's almost as much work either way. It's harder sometimes in a new situation where people won't understand what you're trying to do. And that has to soak or ferment for a while for investors. You're gonna have to prove the concept more and prove you can access markets more. But then once you get it going, you suddenly have, it's easier to finance. If you really want to get followership as the leader and you really want to build a culture that's inclusive and diverse with people that are passionate, committed, you have to have a real purpose and you have to understand what that impact will look like. And that's partly financial, certainly, but how are you going to change lives for the better?
You just got me to the next thing I was going to ask about, actually, leadership. What are your thoughts on leadership among the most important things for student founders to really keep top of mind as they try to exercise and build that leadership muscle?
Kind of twitch when I hear that question because Steve Carell in The Office comes to mind with a really bad poster or something. It's almost painful to imagine, but leadership is really pretty simple and it's really hard. Through the student founder's mind, most student founders or younger founders are coming with one base of expertise, and maybe they were really good at coding, or they came out of engineering, or they came out of marketing, or some other area, and that was their base of expertise. And those parts of thinking through the business come very easy. When he realized to really get this thing to be a real company someday and do what I call escaping gravity, which means having revenue and customers and getting past break even and controlling your own destiny, that's escaping gravity. Well, even when astronauts escape gravity, there's risks, but at least they don't feel that pull of gravity as much, getting to break even and beyond. But one of those things to galvanize and accelerate that process is bringing people around them that will have a different view, and they may argue sometimes, because the second person in the room, you always have arguments if you're being honest, and the third and the fourth and the fifth. And now it's about what's our shared purpose and how do you start building a culture that everybody buys into, even with 3 people. And language means different things to people. And you have to come back and say, what behaviors here are okay here? How do we disagree well? How do we really argue about something that really matters? And then even though you didn't get your way as one of the co-founders, you commit completely. So if you disagree and are willing to commit, that's a huge deal. And that way personalities can be different and your worldview is different, but you can leverage each other's expertise. And if you then can respect the soft skills that come out of somebody that really understands human resources and helping to build the right team versus the technology skills, the engineering skills, or the finance and accounting skills, then you start to lean on the different members of the team and trust each other that you can do that. We all have our own personalities and our own strengths, and we all have areas we can grow in. And so any leader casts a shadow, and that's both good. There's healthy things in a shadow that they say, geez, I'd like to be like that, or that's really useful. I want to follow that person. And then under stress, sometimes we cast a bad shadow too. So it's as a leader, grow, commit to improving your game, get feedback from people you respect, even people that disagree with you, because they can show you some sides of you that you don't quite see, and then improve your game as a leader. And if you stay humble, you're going to be willing to accept feedback from a lot of different places. So that's a good starting point for maybe 10 practical thoughts about my experience with leadership.
That's incredible. As we draw things to a close, maybe the last thought, last question, last words here. I always tell our graduates, and I believe this deep inside my bones, now is the best time ever to graduate in engineering, computer science, technology. Not only because technology has had such a vital, important effect on society, because we deeply recognize the way that these fields we graduate our students in are about, guess what? Helping people. So it's the best time. Would you say now is also the best time ever to start a company? And if so, why?
How long do we have? The short answer would be, I think it's an amazing time to do a startup, whether it's a company or something targeted at social need or whatever it is. There's 2 or 3 things that came out of this last judging cycle for me. And when I see the diversity of the teams and the diversity of their thinking and their willingness to learn, even with some terrific strengths of their own, it really encourages me. Many people think that boy, the best days are behind us. I really don't. There's a couple other books, interesting, maybe if you have some extra time. Two books written by an amazing Israeli writer called Harari. One was Homo sapiens, the other was Homo Deus, and they're both provocative. And the second one pretty much says humans will be gone. We're some of the last generations. Humans will be gone in less than 100 years, and it'll be silicone running the world because they're so much more effective. His point is that 70,000 years ago, we were, his words, insignificant, weak, minor species. And suddenly now we've dominated the world and ruined it in some ways, right? We got work to do to fix it up. But the single thing that makes us, his view, better is this idea to collectively collaborate at scale, not in a small tribe of 8 or 10 people in a cave, but at scale. And there are things that you can see that are not perfect. Capitalism as an economic model and others. But the point I'm making here is for us to start thinking about using entrepreneurial ability as a baseline of generational knowledge. Imagine if in every corner of the world, even people who are trying to lift out of poverty, we teach them about how to have a market economy. And we give them the skills and the tools in their own way, in their own culture. I mean, we're working on that with the new master's program, the IVD master's program. How do you put that in a box and make it capable for a kid living on the streets in Los Angeles that has very limited education? How do you take it to the Horn of Africa in the right cultural frame with the appropriate skills? And so I see this group of founders that I've been able to hang around with the last 10 years or so, and the generation that's going to follow, and imagine if this becomes baseline, and now the soil could look really hard. Maybe it's a really bad time, but if we're building this restless capability among thousands, millions, hundreds of millions of people that could either transform change an existing organization, solve enormous problems by working collectively on almost impossible things, and everybody starts to build this collective capability across humanity. Amazing. So instead of being a hard time, this is probably the best time. It's hard to raise money right now after easy money for 5 or 6 years, and where all kinds of things are being funded with extraordinary amounts of money. It's tough. In a way, that's going to be good. The best ventures will get funded, they'll flourish, and in harder apparent soil, great things are going to grow. But what I will tell you, taking a longer view for these folks listening here and others, is the best time to drive big change is when the tectonic plates are shifting. And while some of those plates are on challenging lines, we have whole earthquake rift lines around race and gaps in wealth and access to healthcare and education and big things that have to be solved for. But that's also, those things are all in motion, and the structures in our societies that held them firmly in place are also changing too. Now, we don't want anarchy, of course, but we ought to be able to make positive change in all kinds of ways. So as with that founder mindset in all these different kinds of ways, we ought to be able to do better and show Professor Harari that 8 billion people collectively collaborating, even though we disagree amazingly, can find a way to solve big problems. Now, if you think about this, this idea of plates, and I hate to quote Lenin, and I won't get his quote, I'll paraphrase, as an avowed market capitalist, maybe compassionate capitalism, me, quoting Lenin is disturbing for everybody, and maybe it's the right way to end, not the right way to end, but he said sometimes, nothing happens for decades, and then sometimes in weeks, decades happen. And I'm paraphrasing, not being exact. And if we take millennial view here of this, decades are happening in weeks here in terms of change to much. Companies are digitizing completely or they fail. Think about who did well through the COVID here. Those companies and those organizations that had invested in cloud and tools and ability to have their workforce and their customers engage with them digitally and remotely flourished and accelerated. And those that are still now trying to do this are really struggling. And this is society. I mean, it's not just companies. We have to see this through the lens of society. So my point to you is, in Lenin's terms, decades are happening in weeks, and maybe weeks are decades for us, but the change is happening so fast. And this is an incredible time to see big problems, take advantage of them, and do something great.
Could not agree more. That is opportunity everywhere. The foundation that we provide through the degrees that we offer, the students who enroll in those things, through the Fulton difference activities that allow this broadening. We're really prepping and pushing out all this talent. So it's really gratifying to see it happening here through the IO. So Tom, with that, thank you so much. There is no way we'd be at this point without partnership, and your partnership has been vital. The students are grateful. I'm personally grateful. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for spending the time. And with that, I'll send it back to the studio.
Thank you, Kyle. My pleasure.
Well, thank you, Tom. We really appreciate your perspective on the challenges of raising money these days and the stages of progress for startups. Your thoughts on leadership and stewardship prove to be invaluable to our ventures.
Agreed. Well, Eric, I know what you're thinking. It looks like I'm auditioning for Home Alone 9. But I'm just trying to empathize with some of our teams that do not have the honor of living in Arizona. So Sparky and I have put on our winter wear so that we could talk a little bit about the 30 teams from both near and far and what the weather's like where they're home at.
Yeah, I saw you guys shivering a little bit when we were looking at our map. It looks a little bit chilly in parts of the world.
Maybe Shelly and her amazing team at SXD can design a zero-waste snowsuit so that we can survive the cooler temps, below 78. Shelly, add it to your roadmap.
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, so we have temperatures from teams, I should say. We have teams as far as Europe, and although the temperatures are low, innovation is at an all-time high. And then if you look real quick, Sparky, oh, here we go. Sparky, do you know where Arizona is? Can you find it? Yes, exactly. All right, see how everywhere else it's freezing cold? Yeah, and it's super, super cloudy in the Midwest. But with innovation, I think the future is going to look pretty bright in the Midwest. Looking at this map, I've never been more grateful to live in Arizona. I'll tell you, our winters are pretty amazing.
Oh, you know it. Now I have some information on the teams.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So our furthest team is coming from 7,400 miles away. We've got, I want to give a little shout out to the teams that are here in Arizona, beyond Silicon and Earthen, where it is, again, a perfect 78 degrees and sunny. We've also got Iniflex from the Netherlands, where it's 43 degrees and 6 degrees Celsius. Again, I think they're our furthest team away. And if you think that's cold, though, imagine how Adventus Robotics feels in Toronto, Canada, where it's currently 29 degrees outside.
Awesome. Well, again, what's amazing about having a virtual experience is that none of those teams that have snow, weather, or cold have to shovel their car out. They just sit back and tune in to this amazing program.
Absolutely. Well, all of these teams have put in a lot of hard work to reach this point today. Let's take a look back at the journey that they went through.
The ASU Innovation Open is a student entrepreneurial competition focused on hard tech, and specifically students who are solving some of the hardest problems facing our society. We really cover everything from Internet of Things to climate change to technology for social equity. So really a broad base of support for students who are thinking about building business around those hard challenges.
Personally, I think this contest is important for students because it allows college students to continue to pursue their venture, and it really inspires them to stay motivated and engage with something that they've been working on.
Getting grilled in the Q&A so that you can really figure out what you do know, what you don't know, what other problems you might need to be solving that you're not really aware of.
You can tell your mom your idea and she'll always be excited. But if you tell a panel of judges that have just heard ideas from MIT, Harvard, Caltech, all the great schools represented here, and they're still excited about it, that means you have something awesome.
Coming up with the innovation is hard, but I think it can be just as hard, if not harder, to actually translate that into a business plan, and getting feedback from the judges and hearing their suggestions can be really, really valuable at this stage.
And as for the community and the world, I think it's crucial that student ideas receive the assistance they need to make the positive impact that they seek.
It encourages not just innovation, but innovation that benefits the world.
Over the last 2 years in particular, we've seen how medicine, technology, and energy are each intimately intertwined with our daily lives. As we move forward, innovations brought forth through contests like these are a critical component of navigating this interdependent global landscape.
We do believe that our tech will change the world because we will be selling next generation solar cells. They're ultimately going to reduce the cost of solar systems around the world.
Because there's so few delicious, nutritious, sustainable existing plant-based seafood options, that's where our tech is coming in and helping to change the world by providing a larger variety and providing options for delicious whole-cut seafood alternatives.
We're providing prompt wildfire detection and notification to large-scale landowners at high wildfire risk.
Hubley Surgical is a cranial drill with auto stop and catheter guidance, designed to replace today's standard for emergency neurosurgery.
Our technology enables low-cost production of ultralight and impact-resistant materials. They're half the weight of aluminum and stronger than steel.
Our technology will change how the medical world supports postpartum women. It'll give women the voice that they need to talk about the struggles they experience after birth, which is something that women currently have been struggling with silently. So giving them a voice overall just make giving birth safer so we can reduce death rates.
I don't know about you, Eric, but I'm ready to get to the good part. So let's do it.
All right, you know I'm excited. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time to announce our winners and give away some money. First up, we will be awarding $25,000 from Amazon Web Services for the Digital Access Prize. I'd like to welcome Jenny Wong from AWS to talk about her support of ASU IO and what she was looking for in a venture.
Hi, my name is Jenny Wong, and I'm on the AWS Startups team, where I work to support university programs and their founders. At AWS, we're here to help you succeed from inception to IPO. So whether you're looking to solve a technical challenge, hiring the right engineers, or finalizing a fundraising round, we have all the resources you need to get started. So we were really looking for a startup that could best utilize all the resources that we have in place and that we could support to help them become a billion-dollar business.
All right, well, thank you for your thoughts. Let's find out who that winner is going to be. Let's bring our roulette wheel up on the screen. We've got all of the teams listed on the roulette wheel. Here it is spinning around. Who is going to be our winner? And it's SXD. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is so exciting. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
92 million tons of fabric get wasted every year on our planet. This contributes to water pollution, carbon emissions, and honestly, billions of lost dollars for apparel businesses. So our mission at SXD is to turn fabric waste to zero. We are building a software application that works with apparel brands to turn their leftover and wasted fabric into beautiful zero waste clothing designs that cost 55% less to produce. Right now, every fashion brand, including fast fashion brands, are trying to figure out how can we come up with a better cost advantage. And that's what we offer. What we do is that we actually make your design so much more efficient in taking out fabric waste, in actually consuming less waste. And our designs are really efficient in the sense that they are created in a way that has fewer seams and cuts. So it actually takes about half the amount of work to make one of our designs that looks the same as a regular design in terms of silhouette. So all those things give us a more sustainable cost advantage that's really appealing to really any clothing brand out there.
All right, well, congratulations once again to SXD representing Harvard Business School. Tell me, Jenny, what were some of the key factors when selecting SXD as your winner?
We chose SXD for the AWS Digital Access Prize because they are generating beautiful zero-waste clothing designs, which directly ties into our new company leadership principle, which is that success and scale bring broad responsibility. And we really look forward to helping them fulfill their vision.
Okay, great. Thank you for your response. Now, if it's okay, I have a couple of questions for you, Shelley. Tell me a little bit more about this material scrap. Is it a lot of smaller pieces, or where does the scrap come from? Tell me more about that. Oh, do we have you there? You might, there we go.
Okay, I'm here.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah. So to answer your question, there's so much material scraps out there. There's actually 92 million tons of fabric waste generated every year. It's about one truck full of fabric that gets wasted every second. So for us, what we do is actually rethinking design so that you actually start with a fabric and you use that to create designs within that creative constraint to create material. Beautiful clothing that are efficient and actually use what you have. So anyway, we're so excited about this because this prize will allow us to actually think about how we can build a software that's much more scalable that we can use across different brands that we're already in talks with around the world. And I'm also here with my mentor and my team. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Great. Well, that is just fantastic. I have one more question for you, if that's okay. I imagine that, you know, clothing companies would already try to fit as many designs as possible on a roll of fabric. What exactly are you doing differently that optimizes, you know, the placement of fabric patterns on a roll?
That's a great question. So today, designers and engineers, they work super far apart from each other when they're creating clothing. So that actually contributes to most of the waste, because by the time that you have the engineering solution try to piece together fabric scraps, the design is already completely set. So there's only so much you can do. Because all the pieces of how you would cut it, all the shapes, they're already predetermined. And because of that today, a lot of the partners we work with, they actually waste up to 40% of their fabric in the design process alone. So for me, I come from a design background, and what I wanted to do from the very start was think about how do we combine design and engineering from the very beginning, so that we're from the very start designing in that efficiency, so that your designs are not wasting any materials.
All right, well, thank you for your responses, Shelley, and congratulations again to you and SXD. As we saw, your mentor, Ivan, is there with the special surprise for you. But it's time to move on to our next prize. Tristan?
All right, second prize. Thank you so much, Eric, for that. Kicking us off really with an amazing first opener here. I'd like to welcome to the stage a very special guest, Scott Tippin from Avnet, and of course, ASU's beloved mascot, Sparky. Today, Sparky is Scott's personal bodyguard. So come on up to the stage. Look how intimidating Sparky is. Yeah, Scott looks terrified. So Scott's here to talk a little bit about our Connectivity Prize. Scott, can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with ASU IO as well as the prize?
Yeah, so our relationship with ASU IO, actually, we helped co-found this in 2017. Looking at what Avnet does best is helping companies get from idea to design, from prototype to production, and working with ASU IO to find some of those newer talents, those younger entrepreneurs, and bringing that next generation to market.
Thank you for believing in this for so long. As Drake once said, you literally started from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah. I'd love to hear who our next winner is. So we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. Can I get a spin? Here it goes. Scott, who is it?
Bloom Surgical.
Yes, amazing, amazing. Congratulations, Bloom Surgical. Tell us a little bit about why you selected this team.
So, Tristan, you had spoken a little early about conscious capitalism, and one of the important things for Avnet when we're choosing a winner is what product is going to have the greatest impact over the greatest number of people, and a team that can scale that to production the fastest. And we found in Bloom Surgical all three of those attributes.
Awesome, that's amazing. I don't know if you guys can see, but they're with us right now, Bloom Surgical. Wahoo! Look at those happy faces. And an incredibly large check in mentors there as well. Guys, I have a couple questions for you if that's okay. How do you feel about answering questions?
Absolutely.
Great. What inspired you to solve this problem? Like every morning we wake up and we have things that bother us, but you guys decided to build a business about one of those things. What inspired you?
Yeah, great question. So Eden and I were working on validating some completely other technology that I was working on during my grad school. And in that process of trying to validate these other ideas, this problem kept coming up again and again of like, well, this new technology is great, but if you guys can solve this problem first, that would even be better. And so as we're trying to validate these other technologies, this just kept coming up again and again as a repeating pattern from our observations from being in the OR, talking to surgeons. It just became an obvious choice that this should be what we should be focusing on.
So you're telling me it was the squeaky wheel that got the oil?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just laugh at my jokes. It helps everybody if you do so. All right, next question. I got one more question. We heard in an earlier between two founders about kind of the pitfalls of being an entrepreneur, the things that are good, the things that are bad. Tell me, outside of today, what's something you guys are truly proud of when it comes to your business and your innovation?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I think we can really be proud about our approach at solving this problem. I think a lot of people, this has been a big problem for years, and people have been trying to solve this for quite a long time. And I think our approach is novel and innovative and uses a lot of our due diligence and engineering skills and this expertise to solve it in a new and novel way. And I think we can be really proud about, our approach at coming at this problem.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. I want to say thank you, and potentially my gallbladder in the future is very thankful for this solution. And I'd love if we could pass it over now for the third award.
All right, thank you, Tristan.
So we're working on a miniature windshield wiper for laparoscopes during minimally invasive surgery. And we take for granted, driving in a rainstorm, the ability to just push the button for a windshield wiper. But surgeons don't have that convenience and that ease. And so we're working on this to provide surgeons with that means to actually do this, to actually be able to see what they're doing during the operation. And with the advance of robotic surgery and the future of automation in operations, the ability to see during an operation is becoming increasingly important. So overall, there are 13 million laparoscopic procedures a year in the world, 5 million in the US. Now in our beachhead market, that's the main area that we're focusing there on is hospitals that are already paying for advanced anti-fogging solutions. And so there are small hospitals that are already paying for something called Clarify, which is a device that is to clean scopes outside the body, which is mainly a convenience kit. And so what we're trying to do is we come in and say, okay, for those hospitals that are already performing these laparoscopic procedures and already paying for this ex vivo or outside the body solution, basically our product would be a replacement cost for that by providing the same benefits plus significantly more by being inside the body, plus being able to remove not just fog, but also bodily fluid and debris.
Well, that to me was really cool. It's like a little mini windshield wiper. That was really impressive to me. Well, now I'm pleased to welcome back Cody Friesen of Source Global to present our third award, this year's water prize of $25,000.
All right, thanks so much, and really excited to be here today. Wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about why I founded ASU.io and why Source Global is a supporter of one of the awards. So ASU.io is really about supporting entrepreneurs. It's about bringing young people who have thought about being entrepreneurs or playing around with the idea of being entrepreneurs and saying, you can do it. And here's a little nugget of resources to help you get going, and bringing the right set of sponsors around the awards so that those sponsors are funding things that are connected to the universe that they know. And so we're really selecting groups that are tightly tied to solving big problems within a space that is connected to the sponsors. And Source Global is a sponsor because we're focused on using technology to lift humanity up. And so we always focus on providing an award to a group who is developing a technology that has the ability to lift humanity up and solve big problems. And so this year's awardee is directly down that fairway.
Well said, Cody. Now hit us with that roulette wheel. All right, it's spinning around. This year's water prize goes to GenCores.
Thank you so much, guys. We really enjoy the prize. Thank you so much.
And GenCore is a tech company, as you may know now. We enable the use of lightweight and impact-resistant composites in the automotive industry, and we believe this can accelerate, adoption of electric vehicles and put transportation on the highway to efficiency. Basically, what we're doing is we're building a unique material processing unit that enables to synthesize this special material that is the favorite material for composite manufacturing. Today, digital manufacturing, 3D printing only focuses on thermoplastics. We're pushing all the thermoset family of plastic to digital manufacturing. And in aerospace, 95% of composites are made with thermosets. We have a hybrid manufacturing process where we actually 3D print the contours, and then we fill up, inject the thermoset inside as well. This allows really to take advantage of two different extrusion processes and maximize the productivity of the machine. The unique ability to control the microstructure of those thermosets on the fly. This allows you to build high performance parts that do not exist today. And we have 2 application patents on key applications in the marine industry, a high value application there, and another application on tooling. We think that our technology can also produce composite tooling.
All right, well, congratulations, GenCores representing Harvard. I have some questions that Cody has shared with me for GenCores. The first of which is, what is really unique about your technology compared to the 3D printing of plastic?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking this. We're basically enabling 3D printing of a new kind of plastics, 3D printing of high performance plastics. So they're not the typical PLAs or the typical 3D printers that you see in the classroom or in the labs. They're much more complex because of the material they're capable to process.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answer. I know your ultimate goal is to enable lighter automobiles, but that tends to be kind of a long sales cycle. What are some of the applications you're working on now to help you get there?
Yeah, that's a great question. We all know that the path to automotive is long and difficult, and for that reason, we're starting, in lower entry markets, and we're very happy to be starting with some Tour de France carbon fiber bike manufacturer. We'll be manufacturing some special tools for them, and also we're today producing a rocket dome for reusable rocket to launch microsatellites. So we're starting there in the sports and, let's say, lower end niche market aerospace to then transition to high volume automotive.
Well, that's great. Those are a lot of different applications and industries there. I've got one final question. What would it mean to get to the automotive market? What would that mean to you?
That's a great question. And, getting to the automotive market would really be the realization of the vision and maximizing the impact on climate. If we can really push that technology into cars, we can drastically lightweight the cars and make them much more efficient. So that means less fuel consumed per mile, or extended range for electric cars.
Great. Well, thank you, and congratulations again. All right, we're now halfway through our awards with only 3 remaining. I'll pass it back to you, Tristan.
Thank you, Eric. Next up, we have our Human Health Prize of $50,000. I'd like to welcome Alex Lastovich, our sponsor from BD. Hello, Alex. I'd love to hear a little bit about not only your sponsorship, but what you were looking for in a winner.
Sure, happy to be here. I've been director of R&D here at our Tempe office, right down the street from ASU, focusing on innovation for many years. And, just as BD's been innovating for over 100 years, actually right about 125 years this particular year, we've had to find ways to do new things to improve human health. And today, over 90% of people who go into hospital are touched by our products. And we want to make sure that we're supporting the next generation of innovators and inventors to be able to do the same thing and improve human health. So we're looking for those that have found an unmet need, they have practical implementable solutions, and they understand all of the intricacies of the market that they're getting into so that we can continue to make human health better across the globe.
That's amazing. 125 years. That's something to be incredibly proud of. I want to thank you, and let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Amazing, amazing. Our winner of $50,000 is, do you want to go ahead and say?
It's Hubley Surgical.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's watch a quick
Wow,
video.
thank you guys.
Hubley Surgical is a cranial drill with auto stop and catheter guidance, designed to replace today's standard for emergency neurosurgery, which is a manually cranked drill devoid of these safety features. Hundreds of thousands of people have this drill go into their heads every single year with an incredibly high complication rate. The very least we can do for these patients is give them the safest tools possible. Our plan is to go after, at first, urban academic centers that have well-funded like neurosurgery residency programs. And that is because this procedure is mostly performed by residents at these institutions, and so it has one of the greatest needs.
Congratulations. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Now, this team is from Johns Hopkins University. Alex, do you mind telling us why you guys selected Hubley as your team?
Absolutely. As I mentioned in the beginning, we look for a couple of key things. Is there a clear unmet need? And I think this crew, Casey and her team, have identified that, a procedure that has high complication rates and could have a big impact on people's quality of life. Do they have a workable solution? I think, they should. They have a prototype. It's clear they understand how to make that solution work. And the third part is really, do they have a plan on how they can get this solution into physicians' hands and actually impact patient lives? And I think they have that. And so those three things put together lead us to believe they've got a very good shot at getting out there, being successful in getting this out into the hospital environment and actually impacting patients' lives.
Thank you. Casey, I like the product placement on the t-shirt there. You think you can send us some? You got one Sparky could wear, maybe?
Of course.
Okay, good call, good call. I've got a couple of questions for you. Are you okay with that?
Of course.
Wonderful. All right, my first question is, literally, we saw a hand crank machine versus yours. Tell me a little bit about maybe other safety features that, besides the cranking of a machine, that sets your solution apart from the traditional methods.
Sure. Here, I have some props.
Yes, a demo.
All right, so this is the hand crank drill that's used all over the world and in the United States. It has no features for safety. And this is the Hubley drill. So the Hubley drill has auto stop, so it automatically stops upon breaking through the skull to prevent plunging into the brain. There is a pressure LED indicator on the back, and the kit it comes in will come with a catheter guide to mitigate the number of catheter misplacements or holes poked into the brain.
Amazing. This is one of those things that I ask myself, I have a brain, why haven't we thought of this before? You guys are brilliant. I know that medical devices take a long time to get through FDA approvals and clearance. I just word babied that. But how long before you're able to get these in the hands of surgeons everywhere?
Well, we are on track to submit our FDA application, which is a 510(k) proposal, in April. And then there's an average timeline of about 4 to 6 months to FDA clearance after that. So hopefully this year.
Amazing. Okay, last question. I think this is important for everybody at home too. We're talking IP, okay? So a lot of your peers are gonna really wanna know about the tech transfer that takes place. How are you able to own all of your IP without giving up any of your licensing? I'm asking for a friend.
Sure. We had really great mentorship from university professors, and we were told to get all of the tech transfer agreements signed by the Technology Ventures Department at the university while we were in ideation, before we ever started product development. And the university was great, and that's how we did it.
Awesome. That's amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, I want to thank you so much. Congratulations. We've got 2 prizes remaining. What's up next, Eric?
All right. I'm so glad you asked, because we will now present our first $100,000 prize. I'd like to welcome to the stage Brent Siebold, Director of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at ASU's Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, who will present the Pay It Forward prize, sponsored by eSeed.
Hey everyone, it's such an honor to be here on behalf of my friend, my colleague, and a true leader in the space of entrepreneurship and innovation here at Arizona State University, Mr. Tom Prescott. You met him during the keynote. He is the former CEO and board of directors lead for Align Technologies, the world's largest 3D printing company. So to have Tom in our corner supporting these student ventures through the ASU.io is absolutely huge. So Tom, thanks for trusting me with the microphone here, but luckily I've got Sparky with me to get this going. So Wow. Thanks, Tom, leading our eSeed Challenge competition at ASU and here within the ASU IO. So $100,000, no questions asked, to the most deserving startup here. And there's two 100K prizes.
Oh,
so.
yeah, you know it.
Thanks, Tom. Let's see, who'd we pick?
All right, who's winning that $100,000? Let's spin the wheel.
By the way, this is not random at all. There was like an hour of deliberation that went into this. So congratulations, Roy, and your entire executive team at Nearwave.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Nearwave is helping clinicians escalate or de-escalate pre-surgery breast cancer treatment. Waiting 3 months or 6 months, which is the typical time for pre-surgery cancer treatments. So we have a handheld imaging device that allows clinicians to visualize treatment response for the about 100,000 patients a year in the United States that undergo that type of pre-surgery therapy. And so that saves patients months of toxic side effects and ineffective treatment for the folks that we can de-escalate their treatment responses for. And so our approach is currently the smallest and the fastest by about 100x of any device like this, research or commercial in the world that we know of. Both my mother and grandmother are breast cancer survivors. And so this is very near and dear to my heart. And the PI that I worked under for finished my PhD, his wife also had breast cancer, which is why he got into this space. So it's just personal for us. The technology is also really neat. So from like an engineering standpoint, like we get to play with the whole stack, right? So I'm doing like bits in, you know, a microprocessor all the way to firmware, to iOS software, and then to cloud, you know, implementation. So I've got a good handle on all that, you know, from previous backgrounds. But of course, we'll hire experts to sort of fill the gaps that, you know, in that space, obviously, because I can't do those things. But so 2 parts. Technology is really cool, really personal. Want to have a social impact in the world.
Well, congratulations, Nearwave from Notre Dame. Tell me, Brent, how did Nearwave stand out amongst the rest?
Well, I mean, you saw him. Well, there he is. Look, it's Roy. The dude is a force. And, you know, speaking on behalf of Tom and our other 2 amazing judges, Lacey and Brett, in the room that Roy came into during the finalist round of the competition, he just blew everybody away. So, Roy, kudos to you and your entire team.
All right.
Awesome.
I do have a couple of questions for you. Is that okay? Yeah, awesome. I heard a yeah back there. What are oncologists most excited about with your product?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, guys.
The whole lab.
I love
Our
it.
whole lab is here behind us.
No, that's okay. Did you get my question?
I'm trying to make the video.
They're too busy celebrating.
Yeah, maybe just one more time there. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. What are oncologists most excited about with your product?
Oh, I think there's a couple things. The first one is that this technology is non-invasive. So you can do deep tissue imaging without having to use any kind of X-ray imaging or any kind of like deep tissue biopsies. We're not removing things, you know, from breast tissue. And then also, I think generally, you know, if we can change chemotherapy regimes in a much, you know, quicker time period, we've shown some work that within a week we can tell whether or not someone's responding to therapy, rather than waiting until that 3-month or 6-month, you know, time frame. It makes a huge difference in the amount of chemotherapy, you know, these women have to go under. So, so that's what they're the most excited about, for sure. Very, very cool stuff.
Great. Well, we're all excited for you as well. I've got one final question. You've talked about people in your life that you know that have had breast cancer. Tell me a little bit more about your inspiration for starting this company.
Oh yeah, for sure. So both my mother and a grandmother are both breast cancer survivors. They are tough women and have raised, you know, a bunch of things that I want to work on in my life, and breast cancer was at the top of them. And it is just incredible that I get to do this here, both myself and then our professor here, Dr. Thomas O'Sullivan's been inspirational and helpful in that too. So just awesome people.
All right, well, thank you for your thoughtfulness and congratulations again. We now have one prize remaining. I'll let you do the honors, Tristan.
Thank you so very much. All right, it's our final prize, and we are awarding, as said, $100,000 in climate change category. This year's sponsor is Breakthrough Energy Ventures. I'd like to welcome Peter Turner to share a few words about their support, not only of this contest, but how they went through selecting today's winner. Go ahead, Peter.
Hi there. My name is Peter Turner, and I'm with Breakthrough Energy Ventures. We're a climate tech venture capital firm created to invest in companies and technologies that are necessary to radically reduce global carbon emissions. We're excited to support ASU and these mission-oriented startups and see climate tech as a burgeoning new category in the entrepreneurial space. So excited to continue our support here.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Peter. I'd like to give a final spin of the wheel for that $100,000. Let's go ahead and spin now. And the winner is Sparky. I'm kidding, it's totally not Sparky. Sparky did not compete in this competition. The winner today is Inferno Guard. Round of applause.
Thank you so much. We're so excited.
You should be. $100,000. Let's watch a quick video and learn all about your technology.
Our tech will change the world because we're providing prompt wildfire detection and notification to large-scale landowners at high wildfire risk. And it is our hope that wildfires with our product will be able to be detected instantaneously, minimizing the lives lost and damage from these wildfires today. If you look at our solution holistically, we analyze 11 different factors in our wildfire risk assessment and then 6 different environmental factors in our hardware device. And because of that, we have data constantly being streamlined to analyze and update. And I think that one of the most important things that we can actually leverage is in the future, as we look towards these large amounts of data that we have, being able to provide recommendations for mitigation efforts is actually a huge piece of opportunity that we have, because we're able to understand from a high level all of the different opportunities and mitigation requirements that a landowner might have, and being able to provide that recommendation rather than a landowner having to go through some of these private mitigation teams. We actually have spoken with some of those teams, and they actually have quoted saying that their solution is duct tape, bubble gum, and boots on the ground. And just being able to provide a data-driven analysis is huge for us. Definitely applications to machine learning are extremely valuable and important. I mean, we're going to be constantly streamlining millions and billions of data points across the time. And I think just being able to leverage different locations across the country to create custom threshold values for some of these detection ranges is really where we're headed. But right now, our detection methods are more focused on these emission ratios that we've been able to calculate, filtering out false positives, and focusing more on the West Coast, where the problem definitely is most pertinent for now.
Congratulations, Inferno Guard from Johns Hopkins University. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you saw in Inferno Guard, Peter?
Yeah, happy to. And again, congratulations. The way that we think about this is that as climate change becomes more pronounced, we as a society are going to become, we need to be more proactive about managing for natural hazards like wildfires. And that's just what Inferno Guard is doing. So we're excited to support them on this mission.
Amazing. Thank you. I like that not only did you guys get a massive check, you got a balloon? What a bonus. A balloon? Awesome. You can put the check down. I've got a couple questions for you. We want to learn more. Come on over. Oh, a couple balloons. Oh, and there's a lot of confetti and flashing. There is a celebration taking place where you are. There should be. All right. So I need you to let me know how many devices are needed per acre or per hectare to allow your solution to work. So just for reference, I had to learn this myself. A hectare, I might be saying that right or wrong, is 100 acres. Got to let Winnie the Pooh know. All right. So how many devices are needed?
Yeah, of course. So the way our device works is we actually adopt like a custom deployment strategy. So devices are only placed in high-risk areas and along the landowner's perimeter. But in the highest risk areas, you only need about 1 device per acre. And that's usually only about like 3% of a landowner's property.
Way to be efficient. Thank you for that. It seems like everyone loves a good drone these days. How is your solution better than satellites or drones?
Yeah, so our solution is really rooted in early detection. So we're able to detect a wildfire immediately after it begins in a matter of seconds. And this provides landowners with the time they need to take action against this wildfire threat.
Amazing. All right, last question, and I wanted to ask it all day, but if you ask it every time, it gets boring. So you are the only one we get to ask this to. What are you going to use your $100,000 on?
The $100,000 is going to be incredibly valuable. We're going to be able to use this to finalize our product, conduct product testing in prescribed burn environments, and drive forward in protecting people from 2022's growing wildfire season.
As my in-laws say, use that money wisely. All right, Eric, there's been so many prizes, so many dollars, so much innovation. I mean, how are you feeling right now?
Honestly, I'm just so excited. I'm excited for the winners. I can feel their energy. I'm just really impressed with the talent and the innovation we've witnessed here today. This is truly the opportunity of a lifetime for these collegiate startups.
I couldn't agree more. As we mentioned, innovation is at the core of the work that we're doing here, but bigger than anything is these ventures are changing the world.
Yes. And before we go, I think we want to bring all of our winners back up on the screen.
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And see a gallery view one more time.
All right.
Here we go. Congratulations again to everybody.
Look at these faces. Yay! Yep, look at, very excited. Bloom Surgical is so excited.
Well, that's good. Well, we're all excited here. And hey, everybody, that concludes our show. Thank you once again to all of our generous sponsors, without whom this event would not be possible. Congratulations to our winners, and thank you to all the founders who participated today. Thank you to Arizona State University for hosting. Thank you to Sparky. Thank you to everyone behind the scenes who made this event possible. And most importantly, thank you to you, our wonderful audience members, for tuning in during our awards show. We will now move to our breakout rooms and give you a chance to meet the teams. Viewers at home are invited to join by connecting to one of our Zoom rooms. The links are now available in the chat bar. Well, once again, from sunny Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona, I'm Eric.
And I'm Tristan.
And we're signing out from the 6th annual ASU Innovation Open, where the next generation of problem solvers are empowered.